Peace, 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 everybody. You are listening to G Consciousness. This is my channel, and we got some things that we got to deal with today. Um, man, about last night though. Scheme Osiris, man, boy, them boys some schemers. You feel me? We was on their platform last night. Yeah, their platform. That's their platform. So we was on their platform last night. Me and Israel Doctrine. Israel Doctrine, it was cut off. He couldn't say too much. I couldn't say too much just as well. You just got to know your place and certain where you at. You know what I'm saying? So I said just enough before they cut my mic. Shouts out to Kalam for even letting me come on. But he team Osiris too. So let them get their shine on. Basically, that's what it is. So Scheme Osiris, scheming, man, they be scheming. Listen to some of the information that Garfield put out. That's one shady brother right there, man. Shady. Don't let the Easter suit fool you. He's shady. Yes. So last night though. Now as y'all can see, the brother was talking about the Yom Kippur. Well, actually, I'm sorry, not Yom Kippur, Pesach, the Passover, basically. I'm sorry, my fault. The Passover, right? He was talking about the Passover last night, right? The feast days just as well. So I want to respond to some of the things that he brought out. This brother need to pull this Bible out and stop playing games, because we ain't playing games with it at all. Now, here's the thing. First off, I'm kind of thinking in my head, like, what is the agenda behind Scheme Osiris when it comes to this Bible, or when it comes to this debate? What is the agenda? It's like, they have moved over, to focus in on Jewish lineage or their ancestors or their genealogy, dealing with the genetics and the markers and haplogroups, whatever the case may be. Ngozi, bruh, you ain't got to be scared, man. Just relax. Just relax. When I get on the panel, just relax. Breathe. Take a breathing treatment. Just breathe, bruh. I'm going to give you a little bit of room, but to be honest, I'm on you, bruh. I don't come chasing you down on your shows, because I don't even deal with your shows. I came to y'all show one time the other day to address an issue, but yet and still no results got done. So it is what it is. But you pseudo though, and we're going to deal with you, and we're going to deal with your priorities. He wants you to go around. Number one, the brother is a robot. Can everybody say robot? He has a battery in his back. He is a robot. He is pushing white supremacy science, so to speak. He's pushing a philosophy and adding some science with it. I see you though. That's why, if you noticed last night, I asked the brother, I said, what is the molecular clocks that you are using as far as dealing with the change or the amount of change from organisms, from one organism to the next organism, or the rate of change? What molecular clocks are you using? And also, what is it calibrated to? I don't know if he don't understand what I'm talking about, or he says I'm not qualified to talk about science. That's what he said, right? Okay. Now, this brother went and got I don't know if he got a degree in biology, or whatever the case may be. I'm not sure. Don't really care for reals. Because one would know, as we explained last night, when you go get a degree, you get a degree for corporate America. Yes, it is an asset, but it is for corporate America. And Ngozi knows that I know that the same books that he used for school is the same books that I can get, which qualifies me to talk about what I'm talking about. Now, if I wanted to get a job in corporate America to be qualified to talk about those things within corporate America, within a employer or vicinity that's dealing with work or a school, then I will need that certificate. This is for corporate America, right? Just last night, we was talking on the Amara Squad show. You had a couple of people on there that was PhDs in engineering, electrical engineering. Now, here's the thing. Whenever you say you are a doctor, I will ask you, well, what are you a doctor in? That's the first thing. You know, what are you doctoring in? What have you got your credentials in? What is your field? And they say electrical engineering, right? Now, if you notice about the most black people amongst us, black Americans, we go to school, right? And when we go to school, we don't go to school for, I mean, we go to school for certain things, but we never end up in the field what we went to school for. Yes, black Americans. Now, Reggie said something that was very important on Unk's show last night. He said that most Caucasians or Europeans, they go to school to empower themselves and for power. I would agree with that. Blacks don't do that. They go to school to get a name or to teach other people. For instance, if I ask one of them, can they make a new calculator or something, some electrical thing that you can engineer that can cause you to get some type of power or money in your pocket, they can't do it, but they can teach you about it. But when it comes to practical science of hands-on, it seems to me that the children of Japheth have mastered that. They have hands-on making platforms, so to speak, as what we're on now, engineering across America and all of these things. So the game is up with what these brothers is talking about. This brother told me I'm not qualified to speak unto him. That's what he said. Now, matter of fact, let me take y'all, let y'all listen to this. It's best I take y'all to it. Let me screen share and take y'all to it. Because this madness has to definitely stop amongst these brothers. It's getting very ridiculous. It has to stop. Scheme Osiris, man. Scheme Osiris. What's the deal? Yom Kippur, will we know the blood gon' spill? It's been real. I tell Ngozi, chill. Run up on me, get battered and bruised. Try to scheme on me, you know you're gonna lose. I tell Khufu to choose. Kasu, run up and catch the left, you will snooze. You know, it's easy out here, man. Meru, you know what to do. You got one tooth. I easy run through you. Melvin, man, the big head, young dude, short. He don't even know the sport. He's a geek. He's a dork. I run through the whole crew. Yeah, it's been like that. I ain't trying to chit chat, break them like a Kit Kat and tell them the skit scat better get back. The young soldier. Yeah, man.
My man making a music video.
I'm up in the morning with this coffee. I'm Folgers.
but I would like to say this though. And you know what I'm saying? Shout out to those brothers, man, on that side, man. I have my beef with them too. Information, when it comes down to information, solely, you know what I'm saying, the brothers are very intelligent. They do put together some good things, man. And
Exactly. I agree.
I definitely do tune in. Well, I've been tuning in for the last week because I want to hear, you know, what brothers have to say, man. I want to give everybody opportunity to present something that I can use to, you know, better myself and my family. But as far as what I listened to the other night, which I really didn't see a problem with Ngozi was talking about, you know what I'm saying? I know that it's all about exposing, you know, what these Jews are basically saying about themselves. And you already know, LeRon, you know, me, myself, I do believe that, you know what I mean, the brothers and sisters in that area were definitely predominantly black. I won't say all. And I do understand that, well, to my understanding, you know, the reason why we don't have anything that would connect us to that land as far as DNA wise is because most of the people that, you know, were in that area, they're Africans, you know what I'm saying? And they got kicked out of that land and they went back into Africa, you know what I'm saying? And so a lot of them tribes over there that are claiming this Israelite descent, is not that the DNA proves that they're not from there or they're not the Judeans or they're not the original people. It just shows that they got kicked out. It just shows that, you know, they migrated, no matter how it has happened. You know what I'm saying? We had a little discussion, me and Garfield and a couple of brothers on the MBK squad, about how did that happen. Now, because everything is not written down on a piece of paper, logically we know that when a siege is coming or when war is coming, people escape. You know what I'm saying? Point blank, period. We know a residue of people escape. We don't have to have papers for that. You know what I'm saying? That's just a common thing. So, you know,
I think that it's not really, you know, like, see, this is what they want you to do. They want us to make it as if this biblical text is not dealing with the majority of people. Because if it's not dealing with the majority of people, as you heard Unc say, we can this their information while you go off your own ancient culture while you with their information. So I'm telling them, hey, I don't give a care if you say that they black, white, or whatever they is. When you look at this text is not dealing with no color. It's dealing with basically the character and the spirit of man. So that's what I'm trying to express to them. Like, I don't know what their motive is. If you're trying to say that, okay, well, the blacks ain't the people, well, who is these are the people, which I don't really care who if it's black, white, whatever, because I think that these are a mixture of people that was black, white, different cultures of people dealing with these continents, dealing with Asia,
true.
Also Africa, and also Europe, and then spreading over into every other place, right? That's what I see, you know what I'm saying? So, you know, I want them to know that this is just not no Jewish thing. You know, this is also a overall thing. These are universal principles that's in this Bible. Ain't nothing ain't nothing that's not universal about any of this. It's universal to its fullest. So that's what I want them to know.
Yeah, that's true.
Let's listen to this real quick and let's see something real quick. Let's see what's going on. Let me screenshot, matter of fact, so we can get the whole demonstration from the demonstration to the demonstration. That nigga Garfield wicked, man. That boy, he slick, sneaky, be spreading propaganda. Boy, them Jamaicans, man, something else, man. Something else, man. You make all the Jamaicans look bad with this stuff you doing, man. You need to stop it, bro. You lying a lot. You lying a lot, man. Watch this. Let's see if I'm there. Yeah, I'm there. Let's jump here.
Romans 2. Okay, I just wanted to tie all of that together so everybody could see how we got to where we are.
Yeah. Look at this dude, man.
That Garfield made. He said that dealing with that these people are actually children of Canaanites and Amorites. And
now, mind you not, I was driving, y'all, so that's why I'm kind of choppy a little bit. I was in my truck, but let's go and continue on. So I'm kind of choppy a little bit.
Then they put pictures of Amorites, which we know that most Egyptologists agree that those pictures that we see are not Amorites. You know what I'm saying? And we did with Hexus, and there is no, number one is I'm gonna need them to substantiate or find some type of bones that can say these were Amorites or some type of tangible evidence, or what are they calibrating this to say that these was actually Amorites? Because we know that ancient cultures, they ran by clans and whatever their tongues was, and if they communicated properly with each other, they could understand each other. That's who they ran with, and they went by clans. And so when they went by clans, then clans became basically borders and boundaries until you get to civilizations. So it was a lot of errors, and there's so much stuff that they said tonight. One of the things he talked about, he said the Passover. He gave it a 14 BC or second millennium. We know that Israel came about and around like 1447 BC during that time. And so we know Passover was established at that time. So around that area, then we see a 14 second millennium people that call themselves the Amorites. We see them taking on this type of culture, or where we see tradition. You know, I've seen certain this is when these people's coming, not when they come into fruition, but this is when they take on this Passover event. So it's a lot of errors. Well, okay, that's cool. It's a lot.
You've seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of errors in here. And like I say, Kalam, when you get the time, man, we need to sit down and clean up a lot of the mess. We need to deal with molecular clocks, because I hear Ngozi on here screaming out thousands of years. 60,000, 70,000 years. That has to get cleaned up, because number one, we want to know what is he calibrating that to. We're going to deal with the geologic column, the geologic time scale, also molecular clocks we're going to deal with, because what he's talking about.
Look at him. Check him out, y'all.
We're not a because you're not a scientist. You don't know nothing about science. You're a shooter, and I'm not giving you no spotlight. And Kalam, I don't know if you shouldn't even have these clowns on here. They don't even deserve to talk to Team Osiris at all. He's giving that spotlight. There's no spotlight. You don't even know what you're talking.
Hold on.
Okay, hold up.
Now look at him. Y'all. If y'all see him, right, he come out the mix, right? Now, check him out. I never disrespected the brother. I just said basically we got to clean up some mess that was out here, right? This brother come out, I'm pseudo, I'm this and that, right? Kalam let him get it off. Now, mind you not, they did this the other night on Kalam's show when they brought out an issue in front of Harry Rosenberg. They brought out the issue in front of the brother, man, and openly with some stuff that was dealing with some stuff in the community, right? Now, this has to be dealt with, because I'm talking to the brothers last night. Khufu come out and say, well, LaRon, don't make me he say, LaRon, don't make me pull your record up. You see what I'm saying? Like, I got this documentation. It's like, what type of brothers that go around pulling up records of people, man? Just imagine how many people's records that they actually pulling right now. See, this is folly. You see what I'm saying? Now, I told him, I said, hey, look, whatever you say you got, do a show on it and put myself out there. I really don't care for reals. You know, go ahead, do what you got to do. You know what I'm saying? I even gave him my platform, Khufu, to come on there, because he told me make a show and he'll come on there. I gave this boy my platform, and this little dude didn't even come on there. He said, I'm not never coming on your show. Why you tell me to make the platform? So you have dishonesty and a lack of integrity, right? But these are the people, scheme Osiris. They just be scheming, man. You know what I'm saying? Scheming, you know? So once again, like I said, we was going to deal with molecular clocks, right? I said we was going to deal with that because it's very important. Because what we see is, in reality, when you talk about mutations within the genomes, right, and organisms, right, we see that degeneration taking place. We see the genomes are collecting mutations, and 99% of these mutations are harmful, besides the phenotypes, right? So when we deal with these mutations, right, eventually if these mutations keep taking place, you have what you call a mutation, what is it called? A burnout or expiration, to where eventually these genomes cannot take this many mutations. Like right now, the body is radioactive. The body takes on a lot of radiation. We eat a lot of foods. We eat from the ground that takes on radiation. The atmosphere, different elements or different chemicals coming to the world, coming to this world. You know, radiation coming to this world, and what happens is we take on those things because it affects the earth from which will we eat from, and not only that is we eat the animals that take on just as well of all of these particles, right? So when we look at it from the get-go, when you look at it, we got to realize is this, is that the body is decaying, it's breaking down. It's definitely, it's degenerated, it's degenerate, it's degenerating. So as the atmosphere break down and we get more sun exposure and particles are thrown from parent to daughter elements, what happens is we take on those things. And once we take on those things, because the plants take them on and the earth take them on, and the earth, it causes the earth to dry out, throw particles just as well, then we eat from those things. So ourselves are also radioactive just as well. And we're breaking down, we're decaying, right? So this is a part of mutations, right? All I'm asking him is this, is can you actually give us something solid? In other words, if you tell me that I evolved and you tell me you can trace back genetically, what are you tracing back to? All I need to know, what are you tracing back to? Then once I know what you're tracing back to, then we can deal with what you're tracing back to. So that's what I mean. What are you calibrating this to? When you're dealing with these molecular clocks, what are these two organisms that you are using? Because we know usually that these things are dealt with, when you're dealing with generations, whether short or long. If the evolution period is a long period, we know that the molecular clock can throw off wrong dates. If it's too short, it throws off wrong dates or wrong rates. Wrong rates. So number one is you will be basing your molecular clock or your genetic time clock or evolution time clock. You will be basing that off of the assumption of uniformity. What is uniformity? Uniformity is you're basing the calculations of today that we can see of today off of modern humans, off of you're basing what we with the mutation rate off of today's climate and today's diet when we're dealing with the mutations, because that's why mutations actually that's what happens. Mutations come by way of climate and diet. Climate and diet. That's how they come. So what we got to understand is this, is that these brothers are not explaining to the entirety to the people on what they dealing with. Like when I ask them, what is it calibrated to? It's calibrated to the geologic time scale, the geologic column. The geologic column was put forth before the geologic time scale came to exist. The geologic column was actually put forth by a creationist. That's what they don't realize, because they realize, and this is what the geologic column is. The geologic column is really, to be honest, it really does not exist in the format that they put it in. But what it is it is sediments, and each one of those sediments are giving an age and also an index fossil. And this is when we come into the geologic time scale, right? Now, when we look at it, We need to, what I want them to explain to me is how is it that the geologic column was created and given millions of years before the dating methods even came? So what they did was they based it off of a assumption on uniformity, that what we see today as far as our current world climate and diet has always existed in the past. So therefore we can base in the past evidence, I mean today's evidence, we can base the past evidence off of today's evidence. That's what they're saying basically. In other words, we can get results from today that can tell us the historical past. And that's true in some instance, but when you're dealing with, there's something that must take place, which is called historical observation, which is part of the scientific method. In other words, to base your calculations off today for us dealing with climate and diet and mutation rates and also changes between genomes, then you will lack information in the past. It could have been some things that happened in the past, something catastrophic could have happened in the past, right? We don't know if the generation was either short or long, because when you say a fossil record, when we go and dig for fossils, we don't find no record. We actually just find a bone in dirt. Now, how they interpreted that record, or how they interpreted them fossils, I'm sorry, that's their interpretation they put on there. We're trying to understand the past, and that's why we categorize things. So there are some assumptions, and we know assumptions lead to beliefs, because you assume that. You put forth a calculation of today on how the climate is and related it to the back. I'm sorry, you can't do that. That's not going to work. That's not good enough. Historical observation is a science. You cannot test and repeat on something that was in the past because you did not observe that. Yes, I can look at today's calculations and the rates of today, but something in the past could have sped them rates up. For instance, when you are, see, this is why men in Ngozi had a problem. And too, just as well. And every one of them brothers, the back chat boys from the Amon-Ra squad and the scheme Osiris. Now, when you look at these brothers, right, if you don't know that carbon dating and radiometric dating and also chronology deals with molecular clocks, or deals with genetics, and also deals with breaking down evolution, then I don't know what else to say to you. That's why last night he said, and if you just still dealing with carbon dating, it still gives a rate of 50,000 years, up to 50,000 years, right? And that's fine in Ngozi. But let me ask you this question. If you accept that date, 50,000 years, right, and you accept that carbon dating is accurate, would you also accept that they found, guess what, soft tissue within dinosaur bones? And guess what the date that they gave? 5,000 years. And we know, according to the geologic column, that dinosaurs, guess what, was before man. Would you accept that too, Ngozi? This brother is a robot, y'all. So this is the problem. So enough of that, because we got something special for Ngozi. We got something special for him. We're gonna deal with Ngozi. We definitely got something special for him. Let's deal with Garfield. Let's deal with this brother, man. This brother is foolish. He does nothing. And I don't know why they trust this brother, man, to do the work for them, because he made them look like a fool last night. And see, that's what I'm saying. These brothers articulate well. They are great speakers. I don't articulate that well, but they definitely do. They are great speakers, but they talk so fast. They lie so fast. My mama always told me to watch out for a fast talker. Watch these brothers, man. Scheme Osiris. That's what they is. That's the new name. Scheme Osiris. Watch this. From Kansu on down, because I think he the oldest one out of them, probably. Scheme Osiris. And watch out too, because when you deal with these brothers, just know they pulling records. They pulling records. So if you're gonna deal with these brothers, make sure that you got your stuff in order, because they definitely pulling records. It's already been known they pulling records. So hey, and they will put your stuff publicly, like for reals publicly. It was already told to me that Khufu said he was gonna put my stuff publicly. So we got a little bit of agents involved here. This is, you know, some agent stuff going on. So if anybody looking to get their record pulled, you know, they have an agency over there. You can go to them and you can get your record pulled if you want to go to them. But only way they'll pull your record if you beef with them. So you have to come to them with some beef, and then you can get your record pulled for free. And once they pull your record for free, you can take it to whatever employment or establishment that you're trying to go to. Okay, let's go on.
Hold on, Laron. You know what?
None of them dicks, because I'm telling you,
Look at him.
It's trying to get the Kodak moment. It ain't nothing to talk about. You're not going to get the spotlight from no Osiris member. That's crazy.
Now look at him. This dude is so emotional, man. He's like a little girl, man. Like when you deal with information, right? And he say that their information is true. They say they scheme Osiris is on the horizon, right? The horizon, right? Now, if they are on the horizon and they say that their information is true, when someone comes to contest your information, why do they have to be trying to get some shine? Why can't they just be trying to deal with your information? Because your information has been Eurocentrized. In other words, you putting out information, and there is some science in it, but then there's the philosophy and the ideals and the lies in the textbook that you see. You can tell Ngozi anything. All you got to do is just put it in the textbook. If you look at it when he posts on Facebook, every time these people post something, he take it and he posts it on his page every time, as if it's the truth. So he's like the media. He's like, when you look at, I mean, he spreads a lot of lies, a lot of rumors. He has some truth that's in it, but he spreads a lot of philosophy. Natural selection is something that he needs to actually learn about just as well, because they did a number on this boy. This boy got a battery in his back, for those that's out there, you know, just listening in. And like I told them, y'all, like I said, so I'm not on a platform to where I'm not heard, but we got brothers out here that's on this panel, just as well as myself, well as King Yeshaya, well as Yahweh, and other brothers that need to be heard, because the one West camps ain't gonna get it. They're not strong enough. Divine Ron Prospect, he's strong enough, but he just like to compromise too much. Forgive me, Divine, I love you. That's one of my favorite person I would like to study up under, for reals. I'm just keeping it 100. That bro, he get busy. You know, he get busy. Even the mainstream scholars is at these universities think that these brothers are jokes. They think that Scheme Osiris is a joke and the Amaran Squad is a joke. These brothers are tourists, half of their scholars. They don't go and get sponsored to have archaeological digs on any of those things. They only take the information that's given to them. You do what you told. I'm do what I'm supposed to. I do what I'm supposed to. Right? So they take people's information that's given to them. That's what they do. Who we got in here? Oh man, here go another victim. What's up, brother? Peace. You know, so for the most part, you know, we talked about what's going on, brother. We talked about these things, molecular clocks. So the people are being dumbed down. They're sheep, and wolves is among the sheep. So they don't have ears. They don't go back and study the information. They just realize that they love these people so much, but they don't go back and study the information. Now, if y'all don't know, we have a lot of things that's going on in our communities. Have y'all ever recognized or looked at these guys and looked and say, well, hold on for a minute. These brothers stay so much talking about the Bible. When did they ever get time to deal with the issues that's actually outside of this Bible? Because in reality, they try to say that the Bible is the problem. The Bible is not the problem. Because I don't see people, I see people murdering, killing each other, stealing, homosexuality. Why don't they have shows on those things to create a format or a standard morality code? Those are the things that matter. You telling somebody that they have ape-like ancestors and a common ancestor does what for the people? You telling people about haplogroups does what for the people? You need to take them haplogroups and your biology and take your behind and go be a doctor, whatever you're going to do, and get paid, or get your own, be a practitioner, or get your own facility. Don't try to bring that to the community as if you are smart to everybody and you got a degree, when we know a degree is for corporate America. And for the record, hold on for a minute.
Can I say something real quick, though, LeRon? Now, I will definitely go on record and say that I've seen videos of these brothers dealing with some of the social illnesses, you know what I'm saying, that plagues the black community. You know what I'm saying? I will say that. I do see a fair amount of time being spent on, you know, really, I don't really want to get personal up here. It ain't like I'm, you know, trying to save face or anything of that nature. It's just, you know, from my own perspective, just trying to be as honest as I can be, and what I always try to do. Yeah, I see that. You know what I'm saying? Brothers do be doing that, but it is a lot of time being spent on dealing with the people that actually harms our culture versus dealing with, you know, people like myself, people like you, people like the Howard, and me and you don't even agree on everything. This is the one thing these brothers have to understand, that we're not trying to say that we're trying to prove or show y'all or want y'all to believe in the Bible like we do. We're just trying to show you that this is what the Bible does for us. And the Bible creates and calls us to, you know, research, study, and be the people that we are, is helping our community. The Bible gives us that power. You know what I mean? That's what we're basically trying to show y'all. So these brothers that are not doing that, or these brothers that are bashing other cultures and of Africa, these brothers that are neglecting science, and these brothers that are doing these things, the Bible does not teach this. So we're just trying to make that strong point. So when we start dealing with y'all, or when we start dealing with other people of the community, they're not turned off because it's things that they heard, or they can be informed that, well, you know, you got your Hebrews that do this, and you got some Bible believers that do that. So make sure that you sit down and see where they're coming from first, and, you know, then build, you know, whatever politics, or, you know what I mean, whatever group you're going to build with them, you know what I'm saying? So but I will go on record to say that these brothers have been making videos, or have made videos of dealing with the people's illnesses, like homosexuality, finances, and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? Kansu was doing something on that. You know, a couple of these brothers was doing that. So, you know, I definitely get that to them, man. And, you know, shout out to them for that. You know what I'm saying? So.
Yeah, I haven't seen nothing like that, but for the most part, they don't do it enough. That needs to be dealt with. As much as you spend more time in the Bible as if the Bible is the problem, but you ain't doing it enough. And I think they probably doing that because we mentioned that. That's why we mentioned that to them brothers about that.
You don't think the way forward is science and technology?
What'd you say?
You don't think the way forward is science and technology?
Yeah, I think that applying the science and technology is definitely what's up. I think that, yeah.
You know.
I think before you start dealing with science and technology, you need to get your morality together, because we see the people that's dealing with science and technology now, they're oppressing the people because they have a bad moral stance. And matter of fact, the majority of them deal with the evolution philosophy, which deal with natural selection, which means they classify us as animals and lower animals to them. And because we are inferior, they believe that we like Darwin said. He said, preservation of the favored races, whatever that means, but you know what it means. So for the most part is the struggle of life. So guess what? If you are black, you have evolved you have not evolved the farthest. So therefore you must be expired on this demonstration.
We know that's not true though.
Oh, that is true. That's how they view it. That's how they look at it.
Yeah, but I'm saying like everyone's got their own theory on evolution. The Dogon have theirs. The Kemetu have theirs. Other cultures have theirs. It's like if we're just gonna apply a blanket science to it, we can say that, you know, what I'm saying is we can say that not everyone had it like correct or to the T, but we can see that they knew what was up. Everyone knew what was up, if you know what I'm saying. He just came late, and he still had to study people who came before him.
What the Dogon say then?
Dogon said we come from fish. But science says that anyway. It proves that.
Yeah, that's crazy. You believe that?
It's not a case of belief, it's a case of comprehension, because it's true. You can prove it.
Now that would still be a hypothesis, because we haven't seen these things happen. Everything would have to still be on each side.
But that's like the fly who only lives for so long, saying the time beyond my lifetime is a hypothesis.
Yeah, but it has to be, because there's no direct proof from a fish evolving into a human. We don't have that today, so now people have to explain why are we not evolving.
No one says that it happens like that.
Hold on.
No one says that it happens like that. For instance, someone made a good analogy today and said basically, you know, when you're born, you're not born and become an adult straight away, right? That's basically what it's like.
Hold on, real quick. Let me respond to him.
And there's no stage in between where you can say, oh, yesterday I was a boy and today I'm a teenager.
All right, well, hold on, bro. Hold on. Now, I gotta ask you a couple of questions real quick. DJ Black, mute your mic a little bit. Peace.
Okay, my bad, bro.
Peace, hey, listen, let me ask you this question.
Don't get no geological column stuff, man.
No, that deals with it.
Yeah, but don't ask me no questions that I don't deal with. Like, I'm not that.
Right, whoa. Did y'all just catch that, audience? Now, this brother then jumped on this panel, right? Now, he said don't ask him no questions that he doesn't deal with.
Yeah, because I'm not going to be able to answer them for you. That's just logical.
Hold on, whoa, hold on. Now,
I can't tell you how to fix a car.
Well, hold on, listen, bro. How in the hell is you even qualified to talk about evolution and you don't deal with the geologic time scale or column? That doesn't make any sense. You just said out your own mouth.
Right. So yeah, and I'm gonna ask you out my own mouth. Does it have more than one aspect to it?
Listen, bro.
Does it have more than one aspect to it?
That's what have more one.
Does it have more than one? Does it rely on multi-disciplines to come to a holistic understanding of the whole thing?
No, really, in reality.
I'm asking you is there multi-disciplines?
Okay, that's cool. You can say that.
Is there multi-disciplines? No, is that a fact? Yes or no?
Okay, I agree with that. We agree with that.
Right. So then, therefore,
that's an idea. That's a philosophy. That's what it is, right?
No, it's multi. What do you mean? It's multi-discipline. It relies on multi-disciplines to get a holistic understanding.
Well, listen. It's
DNA, archaeology, anthropology, right? Correct. There's different disciplines.
Hold on. Whoa. Listen. Number one is if you're talking about anthropology.
I'm saying there's different disciplines. Full stop.
Agree you have to deal with archaeology, and also do you agree you have to deal with the geologic column, because that's what it deals with. If you're talking about index fossils, that deals with archaeology.
I'm talking about multidisciplines. So you can't come at me like I'm the multidisciplinarian. You know what I'm saying?
Well, hold on. Well, listen. Let me state this, and then I'm gonna go on and move on, and we're gonna move on to something else, and let DJ Black go on and speak on what he got to speak on. Let me say this real quick for the listening audience that's out there. Listen, if you come in this room and you get on this panel and you tell me that you don't deal with the geologic column, and that's the foundation and the time scale and the basis of evolution, because this brother just said out his own mouth, it takes millions of years, it takes time, right? So where is this time scale coming from? If you tell me you don't deal with that, don't get on this panel talking about evolution, because evidently.
So basically, so what are you trying to say? Are you dismiss it? What you choosing that? Are you choosing that? Are you choosing that aspect? Are you choosing that aspect of reading it and then dismissing every other and saying that you're invalid?
Listen, I'm dealing with the idea and the philosophy and the science this of it, because it has some science in it. But I'm telling you, if you
it relies on it relies on multi-disciplines of science, right? Is that correct?
Listen, how are you screaming multi, but when I ask you about the geologic column, you don't want to deal with it?
Because maybe this is what I'm asking you, that because maybe that's not my interest. Maybe that's your interest, and I'm interested in other areas.
That's your interest. That's a part of evolution. You talking multi, right?
Do you understand what multidiscipline means?
Listen, okay, you tell me, what does it mean?
Well, then it means it's multidiscipline. There's more field than one that the whole field relies on to come to an understanding.
Yeah, I hear you, bro. And what I'm gonna try to. What LaRon is basically saying is that if you know that there's multi-disciplines to come up with one conclusion about evolution, the geological understanding the geological table also has to come into play. So he's basically saying you should know that. If you know that there's multiple,
I don't claim to be the multidisciplinarian. This is what I'm saying. So maybe you is it okay to be more focused in one area than others, or just for natural interest?
I agree with you on that aspect, because I'm not a scientist, but I do use logic a lot, and a lot of times the science that I see, it really defies the logic that a normal human being will hold. So
but the thing is, bro, I agree with you on that too. Yeah, I agree with you on that too. But I've got to say that coming from a perspective where if I don't know that science, I've never learned it, I've never done it, that's gonna happen, because that happens to the human mind. But the minute you learn it, delve into it yourself, a lot of things become unraveled and more clear, and you're not but it's like, as much. Do you know what I'm saying?
I understand that, but it's like, what LaRon's basically dealing with here is something that a lot of people, like, we all don't sit down and really deal with it, that we make claims, but we have other things that can counteract the claim, and we choose not to bring those things up, and we just tend to leave it one-sided.
Then we have to understand then, right? If a field that is relying on multi-disciplines to come to a holistic view, then you can't just dive into one of them disciplines and start. You're gonna get things confused if you don't realize that. If you don't also understand all the rest of them, so in other words, to put the whole jigsaw together, you're always gonna be like, well, something's missing. How does this do that when that's not?
That's what I mean.
That's just logic, though, too. Yeah.
But that's what I mean by it's still speculative, because whether evolution came about by fish, microbes, a big rock crashing to the earth, nobody knows for sure exactly how this happened. So therefore, they cannot say it's a factual thing.
Hold on, bro.
The evolution is a fact. The theory of it is the theory. The fact of it is the evolution part.
Come on, Aku, man. Hold on, bro. You can't just cut people off, man.
I didn't cut him off. I replied to him, bro. What's up?
Because you cut him off when he was. But let me say this real quick, man, because we're not gonna. Because I'm telling you, bro. Like,
yo, chill out, man. We're just talking, man. Just chill out.
All right, cool. Well, here's the thing, man. Number one is he said evolution is a fact, right? Now, what we must realize is there are different diversities of evolution.
But this is the point.
Man, see, that's what I'm saying, bro.
All right, bro. I'm like going back and forth with you. I thought you was like saying something for me to say something back.
Man, you Osiris stuff now, man.
Nah, listen. Say what you gonna say, man. Say what you gonna say.
All right, listen. Now there are different diversities of evolution. So when you're talking about this term, you have to be specific. For instance, there is organic evolution, which deals with material life coming to. Deal with material life, the origins of life, basically. Then you have chemical evolutions, which deals with the origin of chemical evolution, dealing with the elements and stuff like that. Then you also have cosmic evolutions, which deals with the origin of how the universe came into existence.
But when you're talking about human evolution,
okay, come on, bro. Like you, I don't know if you brothers, man, from Scheme Osiris is rude, man. Like you brothers, man. I don't know if y'all y'all don't understand, bro. Like y'all just cut people off, man. We live, bro. So listen, you cut my wisdom and throw me smooth off them in the flow. What I mean, I'm saying.
Laurent, you stay doing that, bro. So don't come with that shit.
But for the most part, is none of those. There's only one thing that has been observed of the diversities of evolution, and that is what? Microevolution. Macroevolution.
You see now, you just unstuck yourself there when you even acknowledge that.
Let me finish, bruh. Macroevolution, right, has never been observed. What is macroevolution? This brother just told us that a fish eventually came to be what we see today. Well, a fish is our ancestor, and we descended from a fish, basically.
I didn't tell you that. I said the Dogon said it. You clearly heard me say that. So why now you're saying that I told you that?
Hold on, and you said that's scientific fact.
No, I said the Dogon have their theory, and actually science backs that up, meaning it points to the fact that.
No, science don't back that up, bro. Because hold on,
all right, you know what? I'm gonna get if I can, I'm gonna find a paper on that.
All right, that's why I find that paper, put it in the side chat, or read it, because I want to show y'all something. He wants to make y'all think that science backs that up. Do y'all know they have never observed a goddamn fish? They have never observed that turning into splitting off and turning into another organism. They have never observed that.
Bro, do you know that we've observed your hairline receding, but it's still receding?
Come on, man, you got the. Okay, listen, I'm gonna give you. Listen, you got 2 minutes to speak, but let me say what I got to say because you keep cutting me off. You keep cutting me off. Listen, they have what we have observed is mutations, right? We observed adaptations, and we also have observed variations. And this is microevolution. This is what this is, right? Now, when you talk about when you talk about a geome losing something and gaining something, it doesn't lose something and gain something. No, it loses and it degenerates because as it accumulates more mutation, eventually it's going to get to a point to where it has a burnout, to where it's going to die off because the genome it's only coded to do certain things, as we see. So eventually it's just like the body. The body is going to burn out. Why? Because the organisms that's in it and the cells that's in it is going to stop functioning properly due to the environment and diet. So it's going to cause more mutations and more mutations to eventually it's going to decay and decease and die out. That's what happens, man. And we know that most of the mutations that we see are harmful. So listen, don't let these brothers get on here and tell you that what they ain't observed is a science. If you don't know the origin of something, you can only speculate or assume this is what took place. And they use what you call uniformity to base things off of the past. That's not science, man. That's an estimate. That's a hypothesis, which is an educated guess, but at the same time, the conclusion of that is a goddamn guess. Bottom line.
I posted something in the chat for you.
Go ahead, brother.
Check that out and let me know what you think.
I'm finna look at it right now. And then once I look at it, let's let DJ Black, man, speak on some stuff, man, because I got to get to Garfield, man. And I'm stirring away from what these scriptures in this text that he badly try to break down and try to play with the other day. I mean, yesterday. DJ Black, you got something you want to speak on? Yeah, man, y'all got batteries in y'all back, man. Y'all need to stop that, bro, for real.
Stop what?
Well, y'all let white supremacy do a number on y'all, man.
What are you talking about now, man?
You let these white people come and tell you, white supremacy come and tell you that in a million if you give it 1 million years, a nigga will turn into a butterfly. Come on, man. Let's stop playing games, man.
Bro, are
Let me
you
read this article, man. Let's look at this article that this dude then put up.
do realize that the Dogon have already said that? What they're saying.
Ah, bro, stop it, man.
This is what I'm. Now you want to tell me science is not agreeing with the Dogon? Which one is it?
Listen, bro, that's a philosophy and a theory that you're dealing with. A hypothesis, I'm sorry. That's an ideal that led to some study. And listen, you number one is this. You will have to tell me, how did you get from, matter of fact, let me take this off of here, man, because this is finna get ugly, man. You will have to tell me, how did you get from a inorganic material unto a living matter, living substance, organic material? How does that happen, bro?
Say that again.
How did you get from inorganic material to matter, living material, from organic material? What? How did this material, this inorganic, this not living, come to life? And we know it takes 20 amino acids, the building block of life. How did that happen, bro? Talk to us. Talk to me. I'll talk back.
You're asking me like how I think it happened, or do I ever tested and do I know? Is
do
that
you
what
know? Do you know?
Nah, I didn't say I knew.
So let me ask you a question. Do you know not only that you don't know, but those that just dealing with the evolution philosophy don't know either? Did you know that?
I know you don't know.
Listen, I have better reason to believe historical data than
What the rip thing?
what you're bringing.
So okay, then how do you say it happened? Let me hear your side.
Intelligent designer, bruh. That's what it was.
Who was the intelligence?
And listen, you have what you call in your body molecular machines. Do you know what a molecular machine is?
No, I didn't ask you that. I asked you who's the intelligence.
You said who's? See, that's why you don't want nobody. See. Let me show y'all something.
It was just a simple question, bro.
I'm finna answer that. Trust me, I am. This is why evolutionists do not like for you to say intelligent design, because when you say intelligent design, even a child or the most obvious person gonna ask you, who is this designer? Just like he just did, right? Now, let me answer that. We have historical observation, historical data that guess what? That this designer is in the image and likeness of me and you.
Where's that data? Where's that proof?
Listen, and even if you want to talk about science, now check this out. Now, we know that there are similar things. We know that they say we are all connected to a common ancestor, right? And the genomes bear witness to that, right? They say, right? Now, I somewhat agree to that, because whatever created us, whatever ancestors that came and intelligently designed us, I bet he has an eye, I bet he has a nose, I bet he has a mouth and an ear, and you know how I know? And hands. You know how I know? Because the scripture says it, right? So rather not, if we try to personify, even the scriptures and science tell you that, guess what? At one point of time, they believed that this ancestor had the same genetics as we got. and we became degenerate and we mutated to where we got to where we at now. But they believe it in a stupidity way. I'm telling you that the perfect organism, the perfect build, that he only went through one genetic change, and that was a gene splice. And that's when we look at the book of Genesis. When it says, hold on. When it says when it says in Genesis, it says that God put man to sleep, right? This is the first in scripture, in text, of the first anesthesia that is mentioned of a man going into a deep sleep and getting operated on. That is a genetic gene splice that took place. And guess what?
Have you got any proof to that? That sounds pseudo, bro.
No, it's not pseudo. Listen, when he was
Where's the proof?
Listen, when woman was taken from out of man, I'm gonna tell you something.
And that's gay.
Hold on. Okay, watch this.
That's gay, yo.
Okay, all right, listen. When woman was taken up out of man and the genetic splice took place, if you notice something,
do we see that happening anywhere else in nature, in any way, shape, or form?
Now, see, that's what I'm saying. Like,
but brother,
do we see that happen anywhere? Do we see that happen anywhere else in nature?
Yep, but brother, that's what I asked you about this whole fish thing.
Exactly.
We don't see what you're talking about in evolution nowhere.
Right.
It's very small. Right.
So why is it a fact? Why do you say it's a fact then, brother?
But we do see all females giving birth to everything.
Okay. But we do see. But hold up,
right? Is that correct?
But we do see that.
So if you're going to dismiss evolution on the lack of evidence, then how come you're not dismissing that Bible on the lack of that same evidence of the simple factor we've never seen?
Brother, cool.
Men give.
Now you have to understand something. The logic behind a woman giving birth to a man is evident, but it's also very logic that a man has to place a seed in a woman for her to do that. She can't just do that on her own, and there's no scientific proof for that. No woman is reproducing by themselves like some of the ancient writings say that they was doing. So we have to take those things into consideration. And I know that you're not, just like me too, I'm on the same level with you, bro. Me and you ain't really in the field like, Ngozi and some of them other brothers are who are very sharp when it comes to this. But the simple fact of the matter is that's why we have to actually have an equal balance to the scale about what's true and what's not. If I'm teaching you something, then my first initiative at this point should be, this is what I believe, this is what the evidence is showing me. But if I say that this is a fact, and then you got brothers that's holding a book telling you that this is a fact, nobody should be looking down on me or looking down on my people and saying, well, y'all ignorant because y'all don't look at science, and you saying that this right here is a fact, doing the same thing that somebody that's actually in the scientific field is doing with no proof. Just evidences and experiences, just like we have evidences of our personal experience.
So do you guys think that scientists is just literally like the Bible, where they just believe what they're doing and they don't test nothing? They have no. Do you think they have no interactive results?
No, we ain't.
No. I'm down with science. I'm down with science. My bad, Lamar.
This is what we're saying, bro. We're saying that there is science, observable, tested, and experimented on. Now, there is also philosophy or ideas in order to bring forth an experiment on the scientific or to bring forth the scientific method. In other words, you have to have an ideal or even just a philosophy, and then once you have that, then you experiment, you observe, and you test. And somebody got something going on in the background.
Oh, sorry, man. Just me with some paper, man.
So that's what we're saying. So hold on. So you have to decipher what is science and what is not science. If you have not observed it, that's not science, bro. I don't know what else I can say.
Right then. So this would be my question. And if we're gonna dismiss evolution based on the fact that you say we can't observe macroevolution, right? Then why wouldn't you dismiss the women coming from men thing when that's never been if you say it's never been observed? Why would you not dismiss that, especially when everything else tells you that don't happen?
Okay, I'm gonna tell you why. Because what you just asked me is insane, and I'm finna prove it to you.
What I asked you is insane.
Now watch this. Now watch this. Now,
wow.
This is why we deal with intelligent design. Because, listen, we know in science, come on, I'm finna mute your mic or get your ass out of here.
Yo, you can mute my mic, bro, but I can't stop. You can't.
All right, mute your mic then, because you starting to sniggle and giggle in the background, sound like you snoring. So anyways, let me say this real quick. Now, here's the thing. We see, and the reason why I'm telling him, we know that I came from my mother and my father, we know that if you trace it back and back and back, it comes to a collaboration to where genealogies, and then it comes back to, and even science will tell you that we all came from one organism. That's what they tell you. Now, here's the thing. Now, what I want to express to you guys is out there. Now, if you telling me that eventually you had two organisms which put forth male and female, or whatever the case may be, was there just randomly at the same time, that's folly. Now, if you tell me by intelligent design and telling me there is an intelligent being that created brought forth time, space, and matter that exists outside of those things, but is those things, because we know that when time came into existence, it come into existence by speech or by patterns. When material come into existence the same way, right? And then we see space. So we see that these things have come into existence, but what we want to ask is, what is the origin of the universe? And evolution have failed to give that to us. So when we look at the biblical text, or we look at other observations of historical people, they say that, guess what? Intelligence outside of us is what created us. Bottom line. So I'm telling this brother, if we look at cars, for instance, let me deal with this. If we look at cars on the assembly line, and we look at all these products out here, when we look at these things are created by architects who are intelligent designers. The body functions almost just like a car. Why? Because the people who made the car emulated it after how the body functions, right? The brain, the engine compartment, all of these different compartments. Inside of the body is what you call molecular machines. And these machines work just like the stuff that we use today. Sprockets, flywheels, and all of these molecular machines that's inside of the body that pumps this within the cells, that causes the K cells to clot. And they work. These are molecular machines. They work inside of your body. It's like a big factory. And when something malfunctions, there's something that the RNA or something that goes to that spot and cause it to basically function properly, or you just gonna die out. Bottom line. So we see these molecular machines just in the body, and we see man trying to. These things are intelligently designed. They can't get away from it. Even for instance, when we talk about the hot pocket, the poo nanny, the goody good, right? You slip into that thing, you know. If I was a distance and I was watching somebody and I didn't know what that hot pocket was or what they was doing, and I see them getting intimate with each other, I would actually think and say, he's over there pounding and whooping her behind. But in reality, there is something inside of that hot pocket or that gravitational pull that's in those people that causes them to have orgasms, and that thing can only be designed by somebody with a conscience to know what it feels to feel good. See what I'm saying? And this is an aspect of God. That's what people don't understand. So someone knew that me going or pounding that hot pocket, the poo nanny, excuse my language, that eventually that this will cause a blast off and it will feel good, ain't it? Somebody created that. That's intelligently designed.
It's impulses and signals, and even the when a man goes inside a woman and releases the sperm is also called by some magnetic waves that basically are weak, so they don't last that long, but the frequency goes out to basically point the sperm in the direction it's supposed to go in, and then it finds its way, but it's not totally based upon the frequency that's being sent out by the the female reproductive system. But yeah, what I'm saying, is urges, signals, and things of that nature. So we know that basically overall a consciousness made everything.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? That's just
So Laurent, so I missed the part where you explained how the whole females coming from male thing and how the question of that was insane.
Okay. If you trace your lineage all the way back, right? What would you come to?
Are you saying it's going to be a man?
I'm just asking you. If you trace your lineage all the way back, just think. If you went all the way back, what would it come to?
In terms of, like, on which side, the father or the mother?
Okay, listen.
In fact, on the father's side, it comes back to a mother.
Okay,
On the mother's side, it comes back to a mother. So, yeah, mother.
Listen, okay, so listen, if I have a stack of dominoes, and they stacked up, right, and they just sitting on the table, right, and let's say that I wanted to cause a domino effect, how would I cause that domino effect?
Man, ask a guy a question about something, and he asks you a question.
Because I'm trying to simplify it for you. I will have to flip.
But you're complicating it. I just asked you how women can come from men, but you now complicating it.
I will have to flick that domino, right? I'm telling you that I'm telling this is what I'm saying. I'm telling you that the intelligent designer brought forth man, right? In the image and likeness, he made man. And from man...
And that would be gay.
You say what?
That would be gay.
That would what?
That sounds gay.
How does it sound gay?
Because you're telling me about a man, the first thing he did was get another man to accompany him. What kind of shit is that? And now you're complaining about all this faggotry in the world.
I ain't hear him say that, but Laurent,
he said man first, and then he said another man.
Hold on.
So the women's coming third.
Hold on. Nah, he didn't. He's not referring to it as a man going inside of another man, bro. He's actually talking about.
I didn't say go inside, but I'm saying the simple fact is it's natural for you to have a female companion, not another male.
You saying something I didn't say. Now, number one, I did not say that. I did not say that the intelligent designer intimately laid down with, guess what, another man. That's not what happened, bro. I never said that. I'm telling you that I'm telling you that the intelligent designer is the self-existing one.
Yeah, but I didn't say that, bro. I didn't say you said that. Okay,
you said that. I'm saying that's gay. How's that gay?
No, I'm saying if you said the designer designed the image.
What's the origin of man?
For a start, what I'm saying is you're calling him he for a start. For you to invite another he to the party before you invite a she, that's gay.
Okay, well listen, what's the origin of man? Because you got what's the origin of man? What's the origin of man?
A woman. Fact. What's your origin? That's your mother, right?
You said what's the origin of? You said that's the origin of man. Well, how did the woman come? How did she get here?
That's another question. You're asking about the origin of man.
So how did the woman get here, bro?
By origin of her mother.
Wait, whoa. So that would be dykish then. I mean, I'm just.
You know what though, right? If we're gonna be scientific about it, yeah. If we're gonna be scientific about it, you do know that there's evidence across a few different species, and women do have sperm glands. So and there's evidence of other species, women species. I don't know what they call where they turn hermaphrodite or something, and they give. That's happened in nature in other species, right? And women do have sperm glands, so maybe in certain conditions where something can happen. What I'm saying, even the question you're posing, there's evidence for.
No. See, that's what I'm saying. The whole thing, though, bro. You're saying there's evidence for it, but the initial evidence today that we have is when I go inside of a woman, bro, I produce a baby. She doesn't do that by herself. That's the evidence right there.
Right. Okay. But what I'm saying is,
listen, wait.
She can produce sperm.
If you're studying another species of woman or another species of female, that does not account for the human female that we're talking about. See, that's the thing that we have to distinct. Okay, yes, you got sponges that can do that. What they call it, asexual. I'm not too familiar.
Yeah, right. Something like that. Yeah, something like that.
So you got frogs that can do that. You got
Yeah,
certain species
so
that can do that, but that's
so we can observe that happening in nature,
but
right?
yes, you can observe it happening in nature, but
So
not
would you
according
be
to the
so?
human woman.
But
See, that's the
what?
thing, not according to the
Okay,
human woman.
okay.
Because listen,
But
wait a minute.
does she
Because we
have
can
glands
observe.
that? Does she have
Listen,
glands that can
listen,
produce sperm?
listen. I'm gonna just try to match this with some logic here. Though I hear what you're saying, and I definitely understand where you're coming from with that. But if that's the case, then we know that you got male lions out there that let the females do all the hunting. We don't do that today. Men today work. So just because you find that in nature or you find that in a specific species doesn't mean that's for every class of species that's a male. You
Yeah,
get what
but
I'm saying? It doesn't mean that. So
but
we
we're
would still
talking
have
about
to use
something
that
that we're talking about
and
something
say
that.
that's speculative. We would still have to come to the conclusion that those things are speculative, no matter how strong the evidence may be to someone who's observing it.
Okay, then I hear what you're saying, but if it's speculative, right? But there is evidence and there is potential for it to happen based on that evidence, then what's that?
It still would be it's still a long okay, put it like this.
Okay, then so there's enough evidence for that, but then where's the alternative evidence to match up what you're saying?
No, it is evidence because we're actually producing the evidence every day. That's what I'm trying to say, that we have evidence of a woman having to produce a male or another woman by a man. So if a woman was here first, then obviously she came from somewhere. She couldn't have came from another
I'm not
woman.
on about that evidence. I'm on about the alternative evidence where you say women come from men.
Oh,
We
women
don't
coming
have
from
no
men,
potential for that. There is
that
no
would still
potential
be-
for that.
I mean,
there is
that would-
zero.
okay.
We don't see that in nature.
But you say you say you don't see that in nature, but obviously, brother, sperm is what makes babies. Point blank, period. The same woman that you said was here in the beginning, right?
Right.
That woman still has. Hold up. That woman.
Which is
still
why
has
I asked you the
same
question:
makeup.
do you know that they can? Do they have a gland that can produce that?
You talk about the Barkling gland. That is no proof at all that has happened. It doesn't even activate that way.
But
There's no
can it
sperm
do
in the
that?
Barkling
Can it
gland.
do
Like,
that?
no, they can't. Women cannot do that. It has not been proven. It has not been done. They cannot do that. They need help.
So what's the gland for?
The gland is to get them horny, to make more secretion, so you can slide up in there, right, and start knocking boots.
Knocking boots. Well, let's go on to another subject, man, because evidently this brother, he coming with some what's called some.
Nah, no, but see, LeBron,
I'm posing questions. That's all I'm doing. I'm not making any statements.
I'm not compromising with nobody that's coming against the word. But I understand why. Just like I want brothers to understand why do we believe what we believe? Because we have these questions, and these questions are good questions. To me, some of the questions I ask, I feel like is good questions. Some brothers be like, that's silly, that's retarded. So all I'm saying is that that's what the problem is really here, is the lack of respect and communication on each side. And when we do pose a question, because we got so much beef and so much past history with some beef, we coming with these attitudes and these signals like, if you can't answer the question, then nigga, then, or that's a dumbass question. So I respect what you asking, brother Aku. You know what I'm saying? Because like I said, even for myself, I'm trying to be on the side of, I would have to tell somebody this is what I believe. I would say it's a fact, but if somebody says it's not a fact and they got some questions against it and they're not listening to what I got to say, then that's it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not going to tip the scale and start throwing all of y'all in the boat and whatever. You know what I'm saying? So I respect what you asking, because that's feasible questions to ask, and that's questions that nobody really has answers to. You know what I'm saying? Like, nobody really has answers to these questions. That's what I'm saying. Like, science helps, and it just gets close. It just doesn't scratch the surface like we want it to. You know what I'm saying? In some cases. In some cases.
Maybe there should be more of us that delve into it, and then we can do that.
Well, yeah, man. Let's move on, man, because like I say, ain't no problem with that. But I appreciate because King Yeshua, you know what I appreciate the questions. You know what I'm saying? But after a while, it gets to be a psychological. I mean, not psychological.
So Laurent.
Well, hold on. You can't just cut me off and while I'm speaking, though, bro. It gets to be a philosophical.
Apologies, my friend.
Philosophical rant, man, and like I say, I'm glad I had King Yeshua on the panel, because he causes me to calm down and go in, man. But for the most part, yeah. Let me move on real quick, man, because I don't want to spend too much time about this stuff all day. I want to bring out a couple of scriptures that Garfield had brought out. and try to sneak past them. And also with the Passover thing. Something that the brother never dealt with. He said he was going to bring the information out, but he didn't bring the information out. Ezekiel 16:3. I got it up on the screen right here. It says, again, the word of the Lord came unto me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations. Now understand, the topic of this is Jerusalem, to know her abominations, right? So we see that something is being personified here. And say, thus said the Lord God unto Jerusalem, right? So Jerusalem again is mentioned here. So the topic is Jerusalem. Thy birth and nativity is of the land of Canaan. So look what he's saying, y'all. He's saying that Jerusalem's birth and nativity is of the land of Canaan. Now, if anybody know about Jerusalem, Jerusalem was first a city called Salem, and also is Jebus, Jebus, right? We know that. But we know that Jebus and Salem, these places was in the land of Canaan. Nativity in the land of Canaan, right? So we know that. And we also must know that when you see these names of Canaan, which means lowland, right? Matter of fact, let's click on that. Let's click on that. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get that. Canaan, right? The Hebrew Strong's 3669. Watch what it says. Where we at? Where we at? Canaanite are inhabited of Canaan by implication of a peddler, the Canaanites standing for their neighbors, the Ishmaelites who conducted mercantile caravans, Canaanite merchant trafficker, right? We see, right? So we see that, right? It's used 67 times, merchant 2. Let's look at the where it comes from. Look where it comes from. Comes from, it means to be humiliated. Canaan, son of Ham, so humiliated. Also, too, when you do a deeper search on it, it means to be low. So they called it the lowland, basically. When you deal with Aram means to be the highland. So it's kind of weird that we see the Armenians or Syria is above, Assyria is above Canaan or Canaan, and this one is called the lowland, and this one's called the highland. Humility or just low for real, it's humiliated, right? When you do a deeper search on it, you start breaking it down, you start realizing, you know, see what it's dealing with, keep going down and down and down, right? So let's deal with it. Thy father was an Amorite. In other words, an Amorite, right, came and possessed the land of Jerusalem and the land of Canaan, right? Watch this. Let's bring this up real quick. Now, when you deal with Amorite, let's pull this up. Amorite, right? Amorite, Amari, Amaru, right? This is what we see. So this is what we're dealing with. He said, thy father was an Amorite. Now, understand this. Who is Amorite in the scriptures? We can get to it. We can get there. Right? And thy mother was an Hittite. Let's look up Hittite real quick. Hittite, right? We see it. So let's jump over real quick and let's stop playing games and let's get to the bottom of this. Thy father was an Amorite and thy mother a Hittite, and we're dealing with the subject here, which is Jerusalem, right? So he's telling Jerusalem. He said, look, he's dealing with Jerusalem, Jebus, or Salem. Thy nativity is the land of Canaan. In other words, you sitting in the land of Canaan. Thy father, or the people that's over Canaan, is an Amorite people. and thy mother a Hittite, because we know that the Amorites and the Hittites ruled this area. Watch this. Let's see who Amorite or the Hittite come from. We're not going to play no games with this, because if you're going to be talking about these scriptures, you need to come correct, because I'm not going to play with you. Watch this. The sons of Ham, or Ham. Let's look at that word. Right? Let's right? Ham, right? We see it, right? The same as H25 Ham. Hot. Tropical inhabited. Son of Noah. Also a patronymic, his descendant of the country Ham, right? We believe this is Kemet, for reals. That's what we believe is in this area. Now watch this. And the sons of Ham, Cush, Mizraim. We know that Mizraim or Mizraim, we know we find this in the Akkadian just as well. And also they call those people today over there Mizraim. We can find it in the Akkadian as Mesru, or Mesrai, right? In the ancient Akkadian script, we find these things. So we know where this thing come from. Somebody come in or something?
Call. Israel Doctrine.
Israel Doctrine in the building. What's popping, man?
Nothing much, man. Trying to get a new website up, man. You know, bigger and better things for the new year.
That's what it do. That's what it do. So what we see is automatically we're going to show you. Now we just read. Now one would think, according to what Scheme Osiris did last night, they will think that Shem or Abraham or the children of Abraham come from Amorite and Hittites. Let's not play games here. Let's look at this genealogy in the Bible. If you're going to deal with the biblical text and you're going to deal with internal things in the book, get it right, please. Watch what he says. Mizraim, Put, and Canaan, right? So we see this. Canaan comes from Canaan, come from Ham. Canaan comes from Ham. And the sons of Cush come from Ham, Seba, and Havilah, Sabta, and Ramah, Sabtika, and the sons of Ramah, Sheba, and Dedan. And Cush begot Nimrod. Let's jump down. Jump down to the nitty gritty. Jump down to 15. Watch what it says. And Canaan begot Sidon, his firstborn, and Heth. Watch this. Let's look up Heth.
Hey.
Now, anybody know who Heth is? I guarantee you, if you look up Heth, I guarantee you the Hittites descend from Heth. Think I'm lying? Look it up. Watch this. The Jebusite. Let's not play games with it, because we already know that when you go over to that other text, when you talk about Jerusalem, or when you talk about Salem, guess who dwelled in Salem? The Jebusites. So it was called Jebus, right? So we see off the flip, the Jebusites is a descendant of Ham. And Canaan is one too, and Heth is one too, which is the what? Progenitor of the Hittites. Watch this. And the Amorite. Whoa, please don't tell me that
Amorite
is a descendant of Ham. So hold on for a minute. You mean to tell me the Amaru is a descendant of Ham? But you got Scheme Osiris saying differently? It's going to get ugly. Watch this. So let's look and see And then they were strong with it. They went to the biblical text and tried to make something about them. Say even the Bible, they Bible say so. No, no, please don't do that. Don't do that. As Unc would tell anybody, don't go to their book, especially those that know their book. Unc told a brother, if you dealing with that book, LaRon gonna get you on that book. Don't come to this book playing games with me, because it can get ugly. Or even either one of these brothers on this panel that deal with this book. We may disagree on some things, but it can get really ugly. It's like coming into my yard, on my playground, on my house, and thinking you know where the bathroom at. No, you need to get some directions to the bathroom. So let's go on. Let's jump. Watch this, because we ain't going to play no games. Let's jump over, jump down, and let's look at Shem. And let's look at where Israel come from. Maybe this will help Ngozi out a little bit and scheme Osiris. Unto Shem also the father of all the children of Eber, the brother of Japheth. Then you got brothers asking stupid questions talking about Japheth seems to be a Greek name or rooted with Greek. When we know that Japheth in the Hebrew, let's deal with it. Japheth. It means expansion. Now, anybody that know anything about Japheth, he means expansion, and we know that he is the progenitor of mainly the Caucasian and also the Asian race, or the Europeans, right? To speak the Indo-European languages, and some of them Asiatic languages just as well. Now, I'm going to tell y'all this. Japheth was said that he's going to expand. So I knew already that Egypt, or the sons of Ham, and Shem was not going to expand like Japheth was. That's how I knew, because the Bible told me so. I knew that he was going to expand because the Bible said it. And this is a reality, because Japheth has expanded. Not only has he expanded in people, but he has expanded in his science, and he has increased his borders, and he is over us right now. That's his bottom line. Let's continue on. Let's look at where these children come from. The children of Shem and Elam, this is the children of Shem. Elam, which we know the Elamites, Ashur, which we deal with Assyria, which comes forth Nineveh and all them guys, and Arphaxad, however you say it, and Lud and Amram, which is the Armenians in Syria, basically. And the children of Amram, Uz, Hul, Getha, and Mash. Arphaxad begot Selah, and Selah begot Eber, which from is the Hebrews, Eraim. And unto Eber was born 2 sons. The name of the one was Peleg, for in his days was the earth divided, and his brother's name was Joktan, right? We know them brothers went, I think, farther east into India, I believe. And Joktan begot Almadad and Selaph and Hazar Mavat and Yera, and had Aram and Uzal and Dikla and Obal and Ambimael and Seba and Opha. Opha or Ophri and Havilah and Jobab. All these was the son of Joktan, and their dwelling was from Mesha as thou goest unto Sephar, Mount of the East. Now, anybody that know where Israel came from, this is where they came from. Israel came from this lineage of Shem, when you trace back them. They came out of, guess what? Arphaxad, from Eber, because this is where they came from. So, playing the games and saying that these people came from this place has just ended. I mean, they was Amorites and Hittites has ended. That's over with. I don't want to hear that argument again. Let's jump to something that he dealt with, another thing. Now this brother is trying to equate the Passover to some stuff in Egypt, talking about Heka, not knowing that Heka is something that is enchantments that activated. Guess what? The Ka of a person. Now, what he doesn't realize, it is a enchantments that activated the Ka of a person, and also Heka is medicine and science too, just as well. So he's trying to equate this to a Passover. This dude is a clown, straight bozo.
You want to look at the family tree a little bit? I think I got a better layout right here. Who you looking at? Who we looking for?
Oh, okay.
About J-Fat.
J-Fat. Okay, let's go up.
Yeah, we can't really see it that good. You're going to have to screen.
One sec. Here go Noah. Spread it out. Boop, boop, boop.
Up close and personal.
J-Fat is over here. There goes Sham. Where you at? Noah, 3 boys.
Look at our facts file. Go to our facts file and break it down right there. Go right there.
Right here?
Yeah, right here. Break all the way down on them. Selah, Eber, Peleg, and they get the scriptures behind it. Ru, Sarug, Nahar, Terah. Go one more down. Oh! Who was that?
Abraham.
Well, lie be damn. Tell me that ain't Abraham. Now let's jump over to Ham's lineage.
Yeah, let me point something out too. Whatever language you spoke back then, that's what you was considered, even if you came from a different stock of people too. So just keep that in mind, because a lot of these things that I think Ngozi was showing as far as the migrations and the DNA, see, those things are factual in this course. Because when you're looking at the Bible, you see they have their lineages, but you also see the mixture that happens between the 3 sons and their descendants as well. So that means that these people, as being an admixture, wherever language you spoke or whatever area you was in, whether you was from the other tribe or not, that's what you was called. So when you're talking about Amorites, you have African descendant Amorites, also mixed in with Semitic descendant Amorites, some Japhetic descendant Amorites. I'm just using those names for, you know what I'm saying? I'm just using those names for the purpose of people that's listening. Or you can say European, or you can say mulatto, or you can say, you know, Nubian, you know what I mean, jet black, whatever. These 3 color classes all had an admixture, and they were all of different stocks of people, but it was what language you spoke and what area you was in that gave you the name.
Yeah, but we dealing with genetics, we dealing with bloodlines. So when we talk about bloodline, we can deal with, you know, languages, but we dealing with bloodline because we know in actuality when you talk about Hamitic languages or you talk about Japhetic, we deals with Indo-European languages, and also Semitic languages, which deal with Afro-Asiatic languages just as well. We know that even though those were languages, those people also start to, their mutations and their genetics start to separate them and categorize them as a people just as well. So I'm telling you, according to the markers, according to certain markers of genetics that these people had, these were different people right here. They were similar, but they still was different people.
Yeah, I don't disagree. I just wanted to keep in mind, you know what I'm saying, to the listening audience that, you know, you do have it in the Bible where it lines up precisely with the history that, you know what I'm saying, people of African origin came and colonized these places at first. So you're going to have that mixing and mingling in the hierarchy, and also in the, as you would say, you know, just the normal citizenship. You're going to have the mixture in both areas, you know what I'm saying? So, and then it starts to spread, you know what I mean? So just keeping that all in mind, that's all.
All right, cool. So as we can see, it's something else that I want to deal with, because he talked about something else, right? What is this? One of these scriptures in here.
Still need the map or not?
Oh yeah. No, we don't need the map. But yeah. Matter of fact, no, we don't need it. We don't need it. Now let me.
So I showed y'all one of my secret weapons. Now, you know what I'm saying? When I tell y'all I got them heaters, you know what I'm saying?
Let's see something real quick. He said something about something. I had it. Uh, let me look in the group. Matter of fact, because I forgot. Let me look in the group. Look in the group real quick.
I just like to say this. I don't know why people steady attacking you know, invisible things. It's people out here to deal with stuff daily. I don't know why people won't sit down and make relevant events where people can sit down and talk about stuff instead of making blanket statements towards people in groups. That right there is the reason why so many you know, issues in the community as it is, because people just want to make blanket statements, not get their statements checked or tested, and it brings about animosity amongst all the different groups, individuals out here. We currently see this with the Moors in the Kemetic community with certain individuals over there. We see it now with you know, the propaganda machine that's being played between the black Jew and the white Jew, and so on and so forth. People just excite, you know, starting stuff up that, you know, they ain't putting fires out. They starting fires, but they ain't putting them out. And it leads the laymen, the ones that don't profess to be scholars and this and that, to just, you know, get their pom poms and cheer and, you know, hurrah and, you know, hooray and all of that stuff. Beat the drums and the, you know, cheerleaders and stuff. It's a shame. So
Yeah, you know, so like I say, it's like it gets to the point to where we see that, you know, this thing is so relevant that people always got to speak on it and put their mouth on it. That's how relevant it is. You know, so you know they sleep, eat, and that other thing is when it comes to this Bible.
make dung cakes.
You know it. I can't even get my older post. I mean, the older post on this in this group. I don't know what's the deal is with that. I'm gonna have to find something else because this ain't working. Hold on. He said
And
something.
you don't mind if I actually screen share something? Do you don't mind
Go
further
ahead.
push what I was? Okay.
You know, I-
This is just to try to further push what I was talking about. Let me see if I can get it real quick. If anybody can see anything that's going on here on my screen, can y'all see that?
Nah, you ain't sharing with everybody.
I'm not sharing with everybody.
I said you gotta click on the screen.
You
So I gotta click on the
do it and
screen.
show to everybody.
All right. What about now?
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna tell y'all this, man. I'm finna be out. I'll holler back later. I'll check the video out later too, see what's being dropped over here. But seem like y'all doing a pretty decent job from what I done heard. So salute.
All right, big bro. Now I'm not definitely I'm not astute in DNA and anything of that nature. So everything that I present to this point, you know what I'm saying, can you know, be judged and scrutinized. But I'm just giving it so, you know, people can go back and see what I'm saying as far as dealing with this trying to find out origins of the Jewish people. See, it's more complicated than what you think, because for myself, I understand and I know that just through what we see today, how people mix, and you know what I'm saying, how people carry certain traits and Negroid features down the line when they're dealing with different races that they go into, whether it be Asia, whether it be European, whether, you know what I'm saying, to be Native American, whatever, wherever you find a large amount of group of black people, man, they're populating in that area. You know what I'm saying? The kids is definitely gonna come out with those traits, and those traits are strong. Those genetics are strong. So, you know, saying that the Jews entirely come from Hittites and Amorites is not factual. Now, these people can be made up of these groups, but initially not be started by these groups. You know what I'm saying? Because it could be a progenitor that has nothing to do with the two racial classes at all. But the racial classes can come in, you know what I'm saying, into the construct, or to come into the group and make up what the group is. So that has to be noted, because this is what happens a lot. You have a lot of names out there that's being thrown around like Habiru and things of that nature. Is not a set people. It's people that are diverse, and you know what I'm saying, that come together to make what they call the social classes, if I'm using it right, are people that have, you know, important assets, and they come together and they bring it together, and they, you know, they do what it do. They make it work for the people that they're with, and that in time will be something that can be looked at as a bloodline thing, due to the fact that, for an example, if I had a Chinese brother and he had a few Chinese women, and I had my, you know, black Nubian brothers, and they had their black Nubian women, and we got some European brothers over here, and they had their European women, and we get some Japanese brothers over here, and we all come together and say we all going to stay within this group that we're building upon right now, and we're not going to let anybody from the outside come in. Then that's basically how you can view some of these groups that were being made in ancient times. It was diverse people, you know, that decided that this is what we're dealing with right here. You know what I'm saying? Ain't nothing else coming in but this. We're gonna let our bloodlines fuse together, and we're gonna keep it like that and keep a line going. And you know what I'm saying? This is how some of these things are. So I'm just read this real quick, right? This is in a book that's entitled History Atlas of the Celtic World, right? Now it says, now we see in the Middle East, Eastern tools being used by the early Europeans may be due to the fact that farming came into Europe 16,000 BC by Eastern migrations, maybe due to a famine or overpopulation problems. This is what they expect. So you still see a people of fair colored skin, darker colored skin going into Europe, bringing farming tools and things of that nature. So you know, mixing and mingling was going on up there as well. But you also have it where they're going back in to the Levant region. Now, if you want to use this with the out of Africa theory, it works perfect with that too, about them coming up, going into you know what I'm saying, the Levant region, and going all the way up into Europe as well. It works either way. But what I want to show you is this, because this is entitled Hyksos Who, What, When, Where, and Why. This is an article that I did a minute ago. You have a people called the Gudians that came from the Straits, all right? And the Gudians was coming down into these areas, predominantly Mesopotamia, these areas, because this is where they was closer at. And, you know, they were basically taking over, and they was wreaking havoc. And this was pushing a lot of people south. You know, this is why you got a lot of migrations going into Kemet, going into India, and going into China as well. Where we also see some of the things that the Sumerians were using or inventing, as the wheel and the copper axe, also being in these places. But as you can see, it's still showing a mix and mingling going on. You know what I'm saying? It's still showing that people are integrating with one another, having sex with one another, producing offsprings that have various traits, various phenotypes, and going into different regions and different areas. So to conclude that the Israelites started from these two groups, not saying you can count these groups out, but what I'm saying is, as the Bible describes it, as having a progenitor, which predominantly is Abraham, being mixing and mingling with an African woman. All right, it clearly states that this is how these people came about. And later on, these people also branched out, married, and had sex with other people, and these people was brought into the social not the social, they was brought into the social class. You know what I'm saying? So these are some of the ways, or some of the hypotheses that, you know, people could come up.
What happened, Wayne? You muted yourself.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm done basically. But I was just basically showing that
Cool.
those are other ways that we can look at it. You know what I'm saying? We don't have to always look at it or have an alternative.
Hey,
This is where they came from definitively. You know what I'm saying? In a sense.
start back over because it went out.
What say, DJ Black?
I was telling him to start back over because his mic went out.
No, yeah, I know I paused my mic by accident, but I said I'm done. You know what I'm saying? I was just basically showing that there's a lot of mixing and there's a lot of integrating going on around this time with the Gudians coming down into the Levantian region and these people being pushed further south. you know what I'm saying, into Kemet, into China, into India. So one can't say that the Israelites predominantly come from a Hittite and the Amorite clan. You know what I'm saying? We could say that these clans came into the social class. We could say that, and they helped make it grow. We could say that because we know that the Israelites were dealing with other people. Well, I'm sorry, not the Israelites, but the Hebrews or Abraham and his lineage was dealing with, you know, other peoples or other nations. They were having kids with them. They were mixing and mingling with them. They had the same traditions as them. So, you know what I'm saying? That's another way of looking at it. You don't got to just stick by the fact with the Bible, even though we know the Bible is using that as an analogy as well. And people have to understand that too. That was being used as an analogy, saying that my father was an Amorite and my mother a Hittite. You know what I'm saying? That was because completely we see Abraham marrying an African woman. She's not Hittite. She's not even called a Hittite. You get what I'm saying? She's given where she comes from, and you know, she's of African descent. So you know.
And when you look at the scripture is basically just dealing with the land when he says saying to Jerusalem, and he's saying that he's saying that the inhabitants of Jerusalem from the beginning, which is in the land of Canaan, which also did with the Jebusites to control Jerusalem or Salem. He talks about he talks about that they were in the land of Canaan, and which is their nativity, you know, which deals with the land is personified, but at the same time he's dealing with the Amorites being the inhabitants of that place, being the father of that place basically, and also the mother, which is the Hittites.
Yeah, and even the name, but we also got to remember something too. I ain't trying to turn this into no history class. This just show LeRon. You know what I'm saying? I'm supporting it for various reasons, bro, and I really appreciate you having me on. The only thing I want to say is that Abram or Abaramu and these things can be found in, you know, these are regular Hittite and Amorite names too. You know what I'm saying? And we know that Abraham was also in the land. He was next to Amorites. He was living in close quarters with Amorites. He was buying from Amorites. He was buying from Hittites. Like, so that reference saying that my father is an Amorite and Hittite, it can closely correlate with that. But given the fact that what you just brought out, which is clearly true, textual by the textual criticism, that's very true, that the analogy was only being used because of where they was at, and also that came about because of what they was doing wrong, and they was showing that your origins stem, or the sin that you're committing stems from these people as well. This is clearly in the text. You know what I'm saying? It's nothing more, nothing less. We can read it, we can go to it and see that. We can, you know, go back and forth.
Yep, and a matter of fact, when you jump, like as I told him before he brought the text out, I dealt with this probably like some months prior to. If you deal with the text, when you jump back into Genesis, it says that Abraham was fighting with some Amorites king, but it made a distinguishment between Abraham and the Amorite kings. So I just wanted to bring that up as well, because when he went to go get Lot, you know, so there is a distinguishment there. And then also, too, another thing I want to bring out, too, Israel, saying that these people are Amorites, coming up out of Egypt. We know that the Hyksos, and this is why Israel is not the Hyksos. The Hyksos had chariots. Israel didn't come into chariots until when? They might want to reconsider. They might want to reconsider that.
I'm really not familiar. I might be wrong with the dates, but I think they actually start getting a hold of chariots around David's time or Solomon time, one of those times. I think, I'm not sure.
Yes. But, so this is why when we look at them saying that they were Hyksos, these are things that archaeologists look at and say, nah, because Israel didn't have chariots at a certain part of time. Matter of fact, they couldn't even defeat the Amorites and some of the people that was in that land because they were saying because they had chariots, so they didn't drive them out.
In my article that I got, it highlights the specific things that you're talking about, so I'm real familiar with this. I have a lot of reasons why the Hebrews are not the Hyksos, but the Hyksos can be Hebrews.
Exactly.
Now, you know what I mean? And I'm saying that because people don't take the Bible as historical references. So just using, you know what I'm saying, what I have is historical. When you're talking about the second intermediate period, when you're talking about a lot of the Asiatics coming into the governmental systems, you know what I mean, taking tallying down records of certain barley and certain things that the Egyptians were getting through trades, working inside of the houses of the royals and things of that nature. These people could be considered as who we say Israelites, but also of other different multi-Eastern culture ethnicities. But at the same time, these people have nothing to do with the invasion as well. They're just there, you know what I'm saying? They got caught up at a bad time, and these people decided to come do what they was going to do, and now they have to basically be included with this whole thing because where they come from the same place, there's really no telling the difference between who and who. So, you know, those are the things, like I said, we can look at, we can bring out. It doesn't have to be a big deal, but we can, you know, we can show people why we still hold on to what we say is the truth as far as the Israelites are not these people that you're trying to personify them as. Now, these people that you're personifying to be Israelites, they could have became Israelites because you had war captives when the brother came, when Amos, I think, what is it, Cosmos or Osmos? I'm not really that good with the history with that, but when he came and he expelled them boys up out of there, you better believe they took some captives. You know what I'm saying? You better believe they took some people and they was war captives. You know what I'm saying? So they could be included with that bunch. So when you got the Exodus talking about a mixed multitude of people coming out, which I stress a lot to some of my brothers that's on the street corners, some of my brothers that's on that Facebook, that Israel is not just one ethnic group. As far as racial type, is a lot of different people coming out with them. Egyptian, you want to say Amorite, you want to say Haiku, you want to say Shasu, you want to say Elamite, you want to say Hittite, you want to say Nubian. A lot of these people came out with them. We got to use that if logically if they came out. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly. And real quick, so I can make this point. Now, one of the things we realize is I don't know why that they are going to the extent to basically establish the roots of these people when we know that what we're dealing with here is a universal principle. In other words, this biblical text not only deal with the Jews, it also deals with the Hebrews and then the Israelites and then other nations of people that's in this book, empires. So when you deal with this book, if you don't know it to its entirety, you'll look at it and say, well, this is a book specifically for just these people. No, before these people even came into fruition, we have this book dealing basically with these people. I mean, with nations of people. I mean, before nations of people, with overall people in general. So these what's going on, peace, brother? So let me bring this out real quick. Something he brought out, I found it. The Passover, he talked about being openly kept. Just garbage. Just sickening the way he dealt with it. Let's read the scripture and get into in-depthness of it. It says, and the king commanded all the people, saying, keep the Passover unto the Lord your God, as it is written in the book of this covenant. Surely there was not holding, watch this, holding such a Passover from the days of the judges that judged Israel. In other words, this is what he's telling us. He's not saying that they didn't keep Passover. They kept Passover. They just kept it and perverted it. Because remember, during the time of judges, they was under oppression and they was worshiping different ideologies and gods. And then when we get, guess what? To the kings, we see them doing the same manner of things. So he's saying up under Josiah, which is the grandson of Hezekiah, up under Josiah, there had not been such a Passover that was kept. Now watch this. Let's jump over to 2 Chronicles 30 and 26. Because this is also said of Hezekiah just as well, which is the grandson of which is the grandfather of Josiah. Watch what it says. See, this is what he not realized. It didn't say they didn't have Passover. He tried to play a game about publicly. No, let's not play with wordplay. They had it publicly. It just was not a good one, just as we seen in Josiah, which had got rid of all the idols in the high places and kept a pure Passover. And we're going to deal with that because when you get to Isaiah, who was during the times of Hezekiah and a little bit before Hezekiah, the Most High says in Isaiah chapter 2 and chapter 1, he says that those people was perverting the Sabbath days and the holy days. And he said, away with your sacrifices, these holy days, as we see in the scriptures, because they was doing nothing but perverting them. So what's the point of having these days and you just perverting these days? So they were still doing it, but he wouldn't accept it. So Hezekiah cleaned it up. And then when Hezekiah cleaned it up, his descendants after him got to tripping until Josiah came, and Josiah cleaned it up again. So you had two Passovers. There was great Passovers. There was the greatest Passover they had since the time of Judges, all the way until you get to Josiah, which was the grandson of Hezekiah. But this brother, he trying to be slick because he don't know the scriptures. Scheme Osiris. Watch this, what it says. So there was great in Jerusalem. Watch this. 30 and 26. 2 Chronicles 30 and 26. Matter of fact, let's jump up a little bit more. Jump up a little bit more. For there were many in the congregation that were not sanctified. Therefore the Levites had the charge of the killing of the Passover for everyone that was not clean to sanctify them unto the Lord. Right? So this brother said, number one is this Passover is a openly thing. If you know anything about Pesach, it is something that is openly. It's openly. That's what you got to understand. It deals with each party, and then it also deals with the priest just as well. Pesach and then Yom Kippur. So that's what we need to understand. This is nothing that's just like, oh, we're just going to do this within our private home. Nah, this is something that is openly just as well when you are all together amongst each other, right? So we know this. So this is practice is done. Now he gave us, what he did was he gave us we're gonna deal with that. Let's deal with this. Let's read this real quick. Let's read this and then jump to the other information. It says 2 Chronicles 30 and 26. So there was great joy. So we just read that we are talking about Passover. The subject is Passover here. So there was great joy in Jerusalem, for since that time of Solomon, the son of David, king of Israel, there was not that like in Jerusalem. In other words, this one goes back. This one right here is the up under Hezekiah. This is the first Passover, and he goes back unto this author goes back unto the time of Solomon, right? The son of King of David. Because Solomon he sacrificed, he did something that was great on that day. But the other author, he jumps way back and says that Josiah's superseded Hezekiah's, and all the way back to the time of Judges. That's how he bring it. So that's how he bring it, right? So we see him bring it like that. And we know that because it says 2 Chronicles 35 and 1 says, moreover, Josiah kept a Passover unto the Lord in Jerusalem. And Josiah, his Passover was so on point because he got rid of the high places. He did more than what his father did. His father left some of that stuff still, but he got rid of all of that stuff. And he even went to go about killing all of those false priests that was keeping those wicked Passovers. Let's jump over to Isaiah chapter 6 real quick. And then also he mentioned something. He mentioned something that was dealing with Isaiah 7 and 14. I'm gonna have to go and check that out. We're gonna deal with that. I'm gonna have to check that out because I don't want to. I've been already on here a long time, but I think it was something that was real simple. I'll go back and check it out when I get the chance. It was something that was crazy that I looked at and I was like, nah, this is foolish. He talked about something about the past tense or the present tense. He don't understand that there's 3 sons that's actually mentioned in Isaiah 7 and 14. But he don't know that because he don't understand the text. You know what I'm saying? There's Emmanuel. There's also the son who was brought with Isaiah, and then there's also the son which is Mishelabah, whatever it is, that long name that he has, and it says that these sons was given the Isaiah's sons was used for signs for the children of Israel. So when we look at it, not only was Isaiah's sons used for signs for the children of Israel as an immediate protection for them, but also we look at the book of Isaiah also gives us immediate judgments, immediate protections, but it also gives us future things, because just as they was delivered at that time by the hand of God, they will be delivered by Emmanuel, which is God with us, which is Yeshua in the latter times, when they will be delivered from those latter countries, which are still to this day, even though they are not considered Assyrians or different but they are those countries was absorbed by other empires that came in. So those people are actually still there. Israel are actually still having diversity having adversity with those people. We see. Let's bring out this scripture in Isaiah real quick. Because Isaiah definitely bring it out. You know, he bring it out that they was keeping the feast days, they wasn't keeping them right. You know what I'm saying? So this when you get into the in depths of this, you can easily tackle these things that they bring out. It's very easy to tackle. You know, especially when he dealt with the one he talked about the period of let me bring that up. The Zukru festival, which is a period around 1400 BC, right? Which is in the second millennium unto I want to say 1100 BC. Now we know Israel came up out of Egypt in 1447. Some scholars say, the majority of scholars say, right, 1447, in the wilderness for 40 years, and then come into the land to take over the Amorites, as Abraham was told that they was going to take over that land, Amorites, what Amorite says, and as Israel was told that they was going to take over that land. So we know that they didn't drive everybody out, but everybody was to submit up under them and take on, and they basically probably took on their customs, which we know they was. We know anytime people gonna come in, you're gonna adopt their customs or whatever the case may be, or you're gonna die probably most likely. So when you talk about the Zukru festival, and you deal with the festival of Zukru festival, it's around from the 1400 BC until the 1100 BC. So there's definitely some play in that. There's definitely some conversion within that, and those people taking on. So the similarities are there with with them, because in the time of Judges, as we can see, these people was keeping festivals, and coming up out of Israel, up out of the wilderness, they begin to start to keep these days in remembrance of them, being delivered from Egypt, right? So we see that, right? So then when he talks about the Mari tablets or the Mari text, he gives us he says he's going to put it in the chat. He gives us no source.
Shut your bitch ass up.
Yeah, you see, like stuff like that, man. You got these are the yeah. This is the character. This is the character of the scheme Osiris, man. This their character. You know what I'm saying? And come in and do stupid stuff like that. Get on the panel and do stupid stuff like that. But for the most part, he gives no source on it. He says he's going to give it because he's seen me come on there and speak, which what's called Team Osiris too. So I couldn't really say too much. So I was like, we're going to have to set up a rebuttal. So I'm just going to deal with certain little things because it was just so messy or whatever. Let me just deal with this or whatever. So he gives no source for it at all. And I asked him for it even in the group of Talk of the Titans. He beats around the bush and gives other stuff in there, like stuff like Moses, Sargon talking about Moses, right, as the baby being sent down the river in a swaddle basket or something like that, right? Now he knows this as a 7th century story, right? The record of it is in the 7th century. So listen, number one is that right there tells us that that has been adopted. In other words, that has been taken in. See, we can't go with information that you give me. You find some literature, but it's found and it's dated to the 7th century BC. But then they talking about a legendary story of Sargon.
Can I say something real quick on that? First of all, yeah, that I don't know if they have another account of that as being earlier, but yeah, when I looked at 7th century BC, and that was a minute ago, I looked that up. But what I want to say is that necessarily is a lot of things people don't know about certain figures of speech that, you know, Middle Eastern cultures, you know, have to describe certain situation when it comes down to illegitimate rule. You know, people that probably somebody got me. People that are not, you know what I'm saying, bloodline rulers, or people that are rising to a power, that these things could be said to show forth a certain status that somebody has as far as being in a house that is not of the same bloodline but is about to reach kingship or some type of noble status. So I just wanted to throw that out there, that those are some things to consider, in that whether that comes from the Bible or whether the Bible has that, or whether the Bible extrapolates that and puts that or causes that to be a part of its motifs for Moses. If these things could generally just mean or describe to people that are reading that this is a person that was supposed to rise to nobility, or this is a person that is rising to nobility, this is how they show forth that it's happening, or that it happened. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, just everybody just keep that in mind with that.
Yeah, but see, I disagree with that too, because that's not the case. Like I noticed, like whenever you see something like that, you're more so driven by mainstream of what they telling you. So it causes you to sway on what you're dealing with. But in reality, that's not the case. If you find and you show me an article, you find me something that says something about a legendary or something that was legend back then and it's dated to the 7th century BC, no, you stole that. You adopted that. That's just bottom line. And you took it and you made it as a legendary because you recognized what the story was that dealt with Moses. So that's how I take that there. I don't take that as that being if you look at all of these stories, like as when he tried to bring out dealing with the captivity, dealing with the Pesach, when he talked about the Passover, if you notice, he never gave that source. Because 9 times out of 10, when you check it and you look into the schemery of it, then you realize it's a scheme, it's a sham. And you realize that these are people that have put this stuff there, and the dating is not on point on it at all. That's all it is. Because like I told him, I said, show me that 1900 text that you said you was gonna show. Haven't showed it yet. Haven't even put it in the room at all. So they just let you know it's a game that's being played here, and I'm not buying it. That's why I get into get into it to examine it. Now watch this. Let's bring out something else real quick.
What's up?
What's up, son? Hello. What's up? So watch this. It ain't gonna be too much I'm finna be doing around here now, because the kids and came home, and I basically, you know, I worked home yesterday, so I didn't go in today. I just said I didn't, you know. But yeah, let me bring this out real quick. Cause we see already, man. It's just games that's just being played, man, and it has to stop, man. It has to stop. You know, and I'm not finna be playing with it at all. It's up to Isaiah. And then we also have to know what is the day of what is the Pesach? What is it dealing with? The Pesach is something that is similar, because what it does is it appeases judgment from past. No, because here's the thing. Pesach is life, and in between life is blood, and then death. In between life and death is blood. That's what Pesach is. And know how I know that? Because the death angel was a judgment that will pass over those without the blood. And the blood is something that appeases, because the blood deals with contract, or what we call life for life. That's what it deals for, life for life. If you made a hold on, let me get this in order real quick.
Yeah. So you're working? You're working?
Not at the moment.
So you your connection,
Should be, but,
internet connection not very good.
Yeah. So we see peace to the brother Lex Vortex. So we see early on that when you deal with Pesach, right? When you deal with Pesach or Passover, this is basically life, blood, death. Life, blood, death. And when you get into the Torah, you deal with life for life, or you deal with innocent blood being shed due to the fact of which deals with atonement. When you start dealing with Yom Kippur just as well, the Day of Atonement. So we see early on from ancient cultures that the shedding of innocent blood to ratify or to establish or initiate a covenant or a contract between two or more people was something that was great to the ancients, because they did a lot of sacrifices. You know, when we talk about God, or to invoke, or to call upon, or to sacrifice to, that is the root of God, to sacrifice, invoke, or call upon. So when we look at them, they use these sacrifices to cut contracts. So it's evident that we see this early on. It's nothing wrong with that. You know what I'm saying? When we deal with the Passover, the Passover basically deals with judgment passing on the firstborn of Egypt due to the fact of God throwing down and putting down Egypt, and also bloodshed just as well. And the angel passing over, when you see the blood, because the blood signified the Most High as being the Savior or salvation of His people from bondage by the blood. The blood is what redeemed and so much. So when you look at the culture, that's what it's dealing with. It's not hard to see that. That's what it's dealing with. So I just wanted to bring that out, because I think that that's going to be brought out, you know, well, it probably won't be brought out from Harry, because he's not he doesn't deal with too much of that. They run from that. They run from that kind of conversation of innocent bloodshed for the sin of the people, or the suffering servant. Innocent bloodshed, the suffering servant of someone's blood that's being shed due to the fact of somebody else's sin. That's all in. That we see that whole bloodshed process within our realm, within the physical realm. We see that all the time. People's bloodshed, or innocent bloodshed, people's blood is shed due to the fact of certain issues that certain people didn't even never have done. And this is what take place. Like, for instance, you got, if I make a decision and a choice, right? That choice or decision can shed innocent blood,
I didn't even
because
pick
it
it up.
might harm my family.
or it might harm someone else. So we see the concept of innocent blood being shed to atone for one's sin all through the world and also through the Torah. What was the point of sacrificing the animal? So this is what the Torah speak about. So a lot of ancient cultures did sacrificing or participated in sacrifices every time they sat down to eat. And they did sacrifices dedicated unto divine ones or their ancestors just as well, because they believed that they appeased or cut covenants with somebody. And in the ancient times, you would cut your hand and take it and put it on a scroll or on something, or on some paper, and seal a deal. And if you broke that contract, your blood was required of you. So this is simple, people. This is simple, y'all. The concept of sacrificing was initiated before Israel even came into existence. When we deal with the Passover, that's something in remembrance of, guess what? Israel. So when this brother tried to come and say that the Pesach was practiced by these other people, which it was, but then we have it that where these people don't come later on, where they don't start practicing this later on until Israel come into their land to take over the Amorites, then you will have to substantiate some evidence this in the 1900s, as you said, and you have not done that. So then you try to get on and try to go to Hecca. You try to deal with Hecca, and we dealt with that earlier. Let's stop playing games, bro. It's a lot of propaganda that you pushing, bro, and I'm not with it, and I see it. That's why we call them Scheme Osiris. Scheme Osiris. That's the new name, man. And that's just it, you know. What's going on, Lex?
Hey, what's up, man?
What's going on? Yeah, man, we just heard dealing with Scheme Osiris, man. They playing games. A lot of information they try to do on the panel yesterday.
Yeah, I didn't really check what they were talking about. They need some prayer, man. They'll be all right.
Yeah. And so the whole thing is
what was they saying?
The whole thing is this, Lex. Now, just their part in the overall, the discussion for us dealing with the mutations and haplogroups and all of that. It amazes me, why are they even interested in this conversation? What's their motive? You know what I'm saying? And we know that this book is a universal book. So whether or not you want to trace these people back or whatever the case may be, if we can sit there and prove to you, as the rabbi or Harry is going to do, then that it's universal, what's the point of you tracing it back? Because we know that half of the people that saying that they Jews or by blood, half of them probably ain't even going to make it in anyway because they be tripping. So what is their point for bringing this information out? And then edit, it was just a lot of little foolishness that was brought out, bro. A whole bunch of foolish. Garfield trying to go into the text and don't know what he's talking about. It was just vain, man.
Yeah, I think the point is that they're stuck on that anti-Bible. You know, the Bible was used to enslave black people and all of that stuff. So I think that's the point they're trying to prove, and that it was basically plagiarized and made up, and it's not true history. I think that's their point, and the ultimate point is there is no God. They're anti-God rhetoric. You know what I'm saying? That's the ultimate.
And then, man, let me show you what Ngozi did. Let's show you what Ngozi did, bro. Ngozi, boy, that boy's a trip, man. Watch what he did. He did his regular routine. Let me show you what he did, man.
I'm gonna need them to substantiate or find some type of bones that can say these were Amorites or some type of tangible evidence, or what are they calibrating this to say these was actually Amorites? Because we know that ancient cultures, they ran by clans and whatever their tongues was, and if they communicated, actually.
Let me respond.
Watch this.
Come on. You're not a scientist. You don't know nothing about science. You're a shooter, and I'm not giving you no spotlight. And Kalam, I don't know, you shouldn't even have these clowns on here. They don't even deserve to talk to Team Osiris. At all. These people no spotlight. There's no spotlight. You don't even know what
Hold on.
Okay, hold on, Laron. Hold on, Laron.
That's what they do.
It's trying to get the Kodak moment. It ain't nothing to talk about. You're not going to get the spotlight from no Osiris member.
Now, here's my thing, Lex. Now, as you heard, now, y'all are bringing out information. Scheme Osiris, right? Y'all bringing out information. I'm contesting this information. Y'all are dealing with the book that I deal with. So I'm contesting the information that you're bringing, right? So because I'm contesting that information, you're going to have some type of controversy going on or adversity going on, right? So listen, he gets on this rant, as he always do, crybaby style with it, and he gets to doing what he doing. They get to diverting on there. So I couldn't really say too much because you know Kalam is Team Osiris too, so that's their plan. That's their platform. It's already been told to me that he's Team Osiris, so that's their platform. So okay, I knew that already, so I knew when I go on there I was gonna get to say what I got to say. So they calling out the Hebrews and calling out everybody to deal with the Bible, right? But check this out. Nobody wants to come on the platform because they disrespecting people. Now, do you know that Khufu told me that he was going to pull my record and my documentations and going to show the world what type of person I am? Did you know that?
Nah, I didn't know that.
Like, that's crazy, bruh. Why are these guys acting like agents and pulling people's records, man? I don't understand that, man.
Oh, here it is, bro. I said the same thing to them. They said, "Oh, that you just trying to get some spotlight off of us." And I even told Garfield, I said, they say that they're bringing the best information out here. So I said, that's like saying I'm the heavyweight champ of the world, but then get mad if someone challenges you. So what they do now is saying, well, you're just trying to get fame off Team Osiris, Team O High Risk. What kind of sense does that make? Everyone out here that's putting on information is getting challenged. Bottom line is they don't want to. They know who to talk to. I've been telling people that for years. The Armor Rock Squad and all of them and all these people, they know who to pick on. Soon as they hear Lex's name, they run, scramble, make excuses, start, calling names and saying, I'm trying to get fame. Same thing with you, because what they're pushing, certain people are not educated in the evolution stuff. They know, they really don't, when they talk to someone who really knows the scriptures, they look silly. And so it's a game. I mean, I think the brothers, they have some information.
Can I say something?
They're the ones that's out for fame. They thought, this whole, they're on the horizon and everyone's hating on them. No, you're in the open public making false claims scientifically, and you get someone who can dismantle that stuff. You don't want to talk to them. Oh, you're crazy. You're trying to get a limelight. All of it. I mean, come on, bro. That's ridiculous. So,
Can I say something?
like I said, it's Hollywood. They got their little thing going, and they famous. So let me tell you something. After that show, I missed it, but I contacted Kalam. I said, listen, I know we had our words, or whatever, but
Hey, he gonna let you speak, but you gotta mute your mic. I'm gonna let you speak, but you gotta mute your mic. Okay, who?
yeah, I contacted Kalam. Was like, listen, bro, you need to let me on your show so I can, you know, vet this information, this false science that these brothers are kicking, man. You know, I got some, and he told me he only puts people on the show that has a large following, and basically I would have to pay him to go on the show. So I'm like, I said, okay, I said, you on your commercial, bro. I said, everybody know me in this community, but he's like, I understand that, but I gotta make sure I'm paid or whatever. So you know what Kalam's about right there. So basically, they they know who the, like, no offense to the Hebrews, but a lot of them don't have the scientific knowledge to deal, you know what I'm saying, with some of that information. So they put panels together with people who just, they study the Bible, they really don't study science, and so they know who to pick on to take advantage of. They know if I'm on that phone and they start talking that monkey business, that it's a wrap. They know once we bring up the DNA and they know it's over. So you know, I got respect for some of them brothers. I think they're right now on the Hollywood rap tip, like, you know, trying to establish themselves as fame. And here's another point I want to make real quick. The science and technology thing that Amaran Squad is pushing now hard. First of all, that conversation started with me telling them and telling our people that they need to get into technology. But here's the funny thing. They don't teach no science and technology. You see what I'm saying? They keep saying science and tech, but you don't teach no applicable science and technology. Not one show about how to operate a computer, not one show about how to really do archaeology. Their science and technology is talking about it and promoting blind evolution, which all real scientists know is ridiculous. So I kind of just say, I'm going to leave these cats alone, you know what I'm saying? Because the people are stupid, you know what I'm saying? Black people are in a sad position when they take these guys as the type of characters that can actually lead a people or devolve information, like they're on the level of like John Henry Clark or something like that. They don't have the character of someone like that, neither the information. So even people outside of the community are calling them fringe scholars because there's, I call it a Dave Chappelle skit, when being too black goes wrong. They unable to see clearly because they're filled with hatred, and they're too black to the point where anything that's not promoting or uplifting blackness is seen through a clouded lens. So they're not even
Yeah.
able to be, they're not even able to be true scholars. So, and Kemet is dead. It doesn't exist anymore. It's not a nation anymore. The science that they're kicking is not even the real science. And when it comes to African spirituality, they say that the highest form of spirituality is food, clothes, and shelter. That's the dumbest thing I ever heard. That's the lowest form of physicality. And you heard when me and Ankh had that conversation how he ran when it was me, you, and him in the hangout. That's why they won't go live with us. You can't tell people that food, clothes, and shelter is the highest form of spirituality, because then what's the highest form of physicality? That's just the basic animal needs. That's why it's called spirituality. So like I said, these guys came in, they undermined Bobby Hemmett and Phil Valentine and all the people who was bringing some type of spirituality. And now they have people in this very carnal, dumbed down mind state, thinking that they just come from apes and there's no God and there's nothing outside of the physical universe. And even someone like Ngozi knows better than this, I'm telling you. So it's like the rap game, man. And they're out for fame and it makes no sense. And they have nothing to offer the people truly. And my thing is, if you're against the Bible, that's fine. I'm not, when I speak, I'm not here just to protect the Bible. I believe in the creator. So I'm not a Bible thumper. But they have nothing better. I guarantee you that. And
Correct.
to pull black people away from the Bible to give them what you're giving is going backwards 1,000 times. Because if you really understand what's in that book, That's why I said Rabbi Rosenberg. First of all, he's going to embarrass polite, and I love this debate because it's going to shine the light on the cultural difference and the real reasons why our people are not successful, besides all the whining and crying about white supremacy and oppression. You're going to see I believe he's going to show a cultural difference in how people act. And when you look at that interview you had with Polite, you already seen it coming. Polite was looking like an idiot because he kept going to the negative and wouldn't even accept the solutions. Just like when he asked him about slavery, and the rabbi told him purpose. See purpose in it. See, our people can't do that. We want to whine about what happened, but other people, when they go through tragedies, they use it as a ladder, as a stepping stone. They see the purpose, and that tragedy becomes what makes them great. But these pro-blackers, they actually have become the problem in the community because they're negative. They're not universal. They can't see the world how it truly operates through a clear lens. And so they are actually become the unknown agents that hold the people back because they won't let them take their minds into a new paradigm where it's not focused on the negative and just move on. They keep them in negative emotions and hate and biasness. And so these dudes have actually become the enemy, not the coons. A coon has never hurt nobody. Brian Gumble has never hurt any of us. See what I'm saying? But he's a coon. But he's successful. Show me where he has hurt us. You see what I'm saying? But these guys hurt us. They hurt us with their whack philosophies. They hurt us with their attacks. This guy Garfield is constantly calling people irrelevant. You see what I'm saying? They're telling you as they're supposed to be about black people, but you're not relevant enough to have a conversation with them. You mean nothing. See what I'm saying? So what are y'all really saying? This whole, you don't even love your own people, truly. So yeah, man, that's all I have to say.
Go ahead, brother. Akut. You wanted to say something, but I appreciate it, Lex, man. That was right on target, man, because that's what's going on, man. And like I said, I think that like I told Ngozi, like I told him behind the closed doors, what are they afraid of? Why don't they want to talk about certain things and what they really dealing with and get off into a in-depth study on the platform so we can dissect it and talk about it and see what's going on? Because you got, when you got people like and you got people like, and I think they finding out now that saying that, like for instance, we talked about yesterday, I asked him about a molecular clock. I asked everyone in that panel. They didn't know what it was. They didn't even, they just started finding out when I started dealing with the geologic column and geologic time scale, and they use molecular clocks or deals with geomes and genetics and deal with the rate of change or the amount of change, and they act like it's consistent. And then when you ask them what organism are you using, which we know that there's your organism from one organism A and then organism B, what do you have to calibrate this to? They don't understand that, man. Like, and when you look at it, you read it. When you look at it and you read it, you realize that they calibrated it to, guess what? Fossil evidence, or what they call the fossil record, and then also to the geologic time scale. They don't understand it. So then when I'm talking about carbon dating, radiometric dating, and I'm talking about all these dating methods, that don't have nothing to do. We can deal with genetics. Well, they don't even understand what a molecular clock is and how that works, and how we are able to look at these mutations, because really in actuality, 99% of those mutations are harmful to us. And it's like we just could keep collecting those mutations upon the genomes, and we just keep collecting them. And once we keep collecting those things, it has its point to where it just expire us, because the body it's degenerate. It can no longer take those mutations, so it has to die out. It's going to die out, matter of fact. And so we realize that we're not gaining any information. We're actually degenerating. Man, I watched Ngozi say that white people are degenerate. And in my mind, I'm thinking like, nah, bruh, we all are degenerating. Because the number one source of the number one.
How can you go by degenerate people then? What does that say about you? See what I'm saying? And you're right, they don't know what they're talking about, bro. I don't know when Ngozi claims he went to school and he be throwing out numbers and talking fast and people just eat it up. And I'm just like, did y'all just hear what this guy just said? He be making like some just, well, 70,000 years ago, these people went here and there, and then they went to the south, and then and he just be dropping this, and everyone just listens and eats it up and doesn't question none of it. Like, are you serious? And I told people, markers, you can't identify people like that. All right? That's because, and that's something I want to get into, on another show when they start talking this haplogroup stuff. You can't really, it's not really a true identification. All right? You can have different markers and still be the same people. So the way they try to classify people, you can't do it. And they've been life out of the soup ever since they had the theory.
Hey, who you got something you want to say, brother? Because you got your mic open.
Yeah, well, basically, it's like.
Hold on, let him say something real quick, because I know he's been holding for a little bit. Let him say what he got to say. Go ahead, brother.
Yeah, well, I just had a question. How do you challenge a professional or question a professional without being a professional in that same profession?
Dude works at CVS. He's not a geneticist.
He has got a degree.
Right. And so when anyone who has a degree, right, when you get a degree, bro, you have something that you major in, but you get educated in many things. And if you want to use that as an example, then how was Malcolm X going around to the universities debating people? So when you say
He wasn't debating people about biology, though. He wasn't debating people about DNA.
Hold on. Don't. When you say professional, just means you get paid to do something. So that's like saying nobody's.
No, it doesn't mean you're qualified, not professional. It means you have the credentials. You don't go to a doctor and let him operate on you unless he's got a PhD in that field.
Well, hold on, bro. Hold on, real quick, because you can't be just cutting. You gotta, let the brother respond, man. You can't just cut him out. You gotta stop doing that, bro. Go ahead, let him respond.
Right. So listen, this is what I'm saying. Now, when the black movement first started, they was against the educational system. These are all professionals, right? The people who taught history wrong were professionals. The same people who teach science wrong today are professionals. But you had people who were self-educated come and confound them. Now the professionals, the doctors, they're the ones that's killing people and giving people medications to die. But Dr. Sebi didn't go to school. Neither a lot of other natural healers didn't go to school and learn about the body. So when you say professional, you talk about it goes the dude works as a pharmacist, so he's not medicine.
Shut your bitch ass up, LaRon.
He's not any splicing cell. So, and I'm gonna tell you the truth.
So you think that basically?
Not finished. I'm almost done. When you go to school, bro, like I went to school, I have a degree.
What do you have a degree in?
Listen, hold on, bro. The only difference is you get credits for it. You can go get the same textbook that these people study from. They get a textbook and they read it and they take a test and they get credit for a class. And you go through that type of stuff. And not only that, but there's a curriculum you have to follow. So in school, evolution is, when you talk biology, they basically base it on evolution. That's just the curriculum. So you don't even
Who's it? You from there, Roger?
You can go to school and get miseducated.
Hello? Lex.
Yeah, I'm still here.
Yeah, let me say this real quick, Lex.
Let me just say this real quick. One time he said he had a bachelor's in biology. Then I heard him say he had a doctor's, and he does. I guarantee that dude ain't got no doctor's in biology, man. But because if you read, listen, pick up a basic biology book and a book on genetics, right? And you can just listen to what these guys are saying and see that it's all rhetoric. I'm telling you. You don't have to be no doctor in biology to understand the basics of biology and listen to what these guys are saying. Like if you just read about DNA and how it works, you'll know. You know what I'm saying? This information is out there. It's not like it's hidden anywhere.
So does that mean we can decode, let's say, a germ or something ourselves by just reading up on it? Yeah, me and you can go and do that now.
Let me respond to that real quick. Now, let's get this straight. Hold on. Let me respond to this real quick. Let's get this straight. Now, this is the problem within the black community for those that are listening in. Now, one thing that what we see is that when we're dealing with degrees is for corporate America. They are asset, but they are for corporate America. And reason why we say that is because as I can take and go get...
They don't come from there.
I'm about to eject you if you don't stop cutting me off, brother, because you keep doing that, man. You can't just be cutting people off because you feel like whining about something. You gotta let people talk. So listen. When you deal with degrees, most black people will tell you, I got a degree. It's for show. Nothing is practiced about what they're doing. 9 times out of 10, we know that the black community is not going or getting paid for what they went to school for. That's the first thing. The second thing is degree is for corporate America. That is your credentials. So when you go into the field, you are qualified to work in this corporate America. Now, if I choose to go get some books, as I just showed you, and read those books and study those books where they got discussion and tests in the back of the books, then that's what I choose to do. I'm dealing with the same information that he's dealing with. I just come to a different conclusion than what he's coming to because he's actually taking on the ideal or the philosophy side of it that deals with different aspects of evolution. So what I'm telling you that, like I told, and what's called Dr. Reggie, he basically said it last night better than anybody. Black people, black Americans, they go to school for a degree to basically tell others.
Shut your bitch ass up, LeBron.
And like, let me tell y'all something. Anytime you got a person that comes on somebody's panel and continue to do stuff like that, y'all don't think that's a psychological problem? That is a psychological problem. Y'all don't see that? You come on somebody's panel, and when you do stuff like that, that is a psychological problem. That is a mental condition. Who does that? Y'all don't see that? This is your scheme Osiris. The middleman, the one who just read articles for the people. Read that article. He's a reader for Scheme Osiris. This is the reader of Scheme Osiris that doesn't have no information, that comes out and just read articles for Scheme Osiris. He can't really say anything to me. So listen, when you dealing with these brothers, you dealing with them immaturity here. So once again, in agents here, like I told y'all before, if y'all want to know what y'all police record is for free to take it to y'all employers without paying for it, just go to Scheme Osiris. They got records on deck. So with that being said, let me say this. Now, when you deal with it, it's basically dealing with, like Reggie said. Reggie said something that made a lot of sense. When Caucasians or Europeans go get a degree, they get it for corporate America, and they take on practical, guess what? Science, engineering. They're going to build calculators, electrical, if they're dealing with electricity, if they dealing with these different forms of engineering, they're gonna.
That.
What'd you say? I'm sorry.
That's not just. That's basically most students don't work in the field they went to school from, man. That includes whites too, though.
Exactly. I agree with that, but for the most part, do you agree that what Reggie said something that made sense? Europeans go to school for power mostly. When you look at the Arabics, when we're teaching them, they're going to school to guess what? Make something, build something, create something, and put something together. The majority of them try to do that. Now, when you look in the black community, they can say they used to just teaching somebody something. When you gonna build something? When you gonna make something? When you gonna create something?
That's what I was saying about when these guys talk about science and technology. Like, why don't you run a class on, like, have a blog talk show or a class on computer repair or something? Like, they're not about science and technology. You know what I'm saying? Like,
What are the shoes that they have?
Excuse me?
Isn't the shoes that they've got not an example of that?
Nah, that would be in the realm of economics, and it's not their shoes.
So how was they made? They're all produced and everything by themselves. So how isn't?
Shoes, bro, go do the homework on that, man. That's some black dude. They're getting the shoes wholesale.
That's the point. That's the point, though. Isn't that their point?
Hold on, bro. That's dealing with economics, bro. And then another thing too is, you off subject for real, because that's dealing with economics. What's type of technology is that? They ain't manufacturing them shoes themselves.
What do they say? That they're all built in they're built, manufactured, and made within the community. So isn't that the truth? You
say what?
They're built, made, distributed, manufactured within
So
the
let me ask you a
community.
question. Do they got hold on, bro. Listen, do they have an industrial spot where they are manufacturing those shoes themselves?
As far as I know, they have the ability to do it themselves. Yeah, they're doing it themselves.
They got a factory somewhere.
They must have. They're not, unless they're doing it in some guy's shed.
Anyways, that's economics, bro. We ain't finna go. We talking about
Nah, that's technology. You
LeBron,
gotta perform the technology before you even get to the economics.
LeBron, somebody sent me the information on that, man. That's not even their stuff. A guy started those shoes, some other black dude. They're getting them wholesale like everybody else. They're not even that's not even there. And so we don't. I doubt there's a factory. They're buying Bobos and painting over them, bro.
Congratulate, man.
Hey, man,
don't
make
hate,
it
bro.
that bad. Don't make it seem that bad, man.
I know, man. Now you know why people say that people hate, man.
Like, you know, from joints you buy the Bobos, they're Bobos, yo. You ever with the big rubber top? Those are Bobos, yo. And they painted over them. Let's be for real, man. That ain't no technology. I'm not trying to knock them. I'm just saying that's it's.
You're not trying to knock them, but that's all you are doing.
No, because you tried to make a stupid point about technology. I'm telling you, painting over Bobos is creative.
All right, then. Can you prove that they're painting over Bobos? Can you prove that to even say that?
I
Can
know
you prove that
what
right now? Can you prove that though right now?
Yeah, bro. Pull up the Bobos.
No, can you prove that that's what they're doing?
Anyway, that's not technology, bro.
See, so you make a statement hating on man, but you can't back it up. That's kind of weak, that, bro.
Technology.
Say again.
Can you prove that they have a factory where they're producing these shoes? You can't either. But I can look at a pair of Bobos and know what they look like, bro. It don't take a rocket scientist to know what Bobos look like with some damn graffiti on them.
Wow. What are you making?
So you're taking a decision. That's not even the subject of this. We're talking about science and technology, applicable sciences, bro.
Yeah, footwear is science.
See, man, you're a groupie idiot, bro.
Nah, you're an idiot, bro. Don't call me a groupie idiot. You're a Batty or about idiot.
It don't even make no sense, bro. That's not some
Bro, you're
science and
nuts,
technology.
bro. You're
Science
crazy.
and technology
You have
is
comprehension issues, B.
dealing
Sort
with
it
the
out, fam.
world, bro. I work in the science and technology. It's
You don't work
digital.
in nothing, fam. If you worked in science and technology, you won't be so against science and technology. Shit.
You stupid, bro. Digital technology is dealing with software, bro, designing programs and building machines
And that means you understand biology, yeah? And DNA.
yeah, because it's all connected. I do
All
understand.
right. Okay. So you're qualified in biology and DNA, right? Okay.
Do you know about DNA?
No, that's not my field. I don't profess to. I won't challenge one neither.
In a field to know about something, idiot. If you don't have to work, hey, listen. If you're not a professional basketball player, does that mean you don't know how to play basketball or understand the game?
No, it means I'm not a professional basketball player.
Okay then. Okay.
And
So there's people.
And if it was told things by a professional basketball player that I'm doing wrong or I need to fix up on, I would take that advice from a professional.
Man, professionals get paid, man. So how you gonna? They get paid for what they doing, man.
All right, then. So then, when you go get an operation or your tooth fixed, then don't go to an amateur, then, right?
Man,
go to someone who's not a professional.
Come on, let's not use that silly.
See, now it's silly, isn't it? See, this is crazy, man. You're gonna go and say one thing, but then it's crazy when it's said back to you.
Listen, bro.
Man,
There's
nuts, man.
Play football or basketball that could be better coaches than someone who's in the NBA or the NFL coaching.
So you're gonna get an operation from an amateur physician, or just someone who says he knows how to, fix your leg or something.
Man,
are you gonna do that?
Wait, man.
See, it's getting tricky now, isn't it? What's up with the logic now?
This guy's a groupie, man.
Nah, man. What it is it's dealing with.
You lack logic, fam.
Hold on. Now, what he's not telling y'all is there is a difference between practical science when you're actually operating, or when you're actually like what Ngozi do, or what these brothers do. They don't study the body actually with tools and instruments that go into the body.
Can you go to the Armor Squad and get a DNA test done?
Hell no.
That's what I'm saying when you got idiots like this talking about these guys are professionals. Ngozi ain't running no DNA test. I bet you he got his DNA test from another company that actually does the practical science. He's talking theory just like me and you on the phone, bro. You can read it in a book, dummy.
What are you on about? He's not... Bro, y'all nuts. It's just that you just got comprehension issues. That's what it is.
Can operate on your leg if he's not accredited.
I asked you a question. Are you gonna let a dude fix your leg if he's not got he's not qualified?
I don't know if you ain't heard of what we said. I don't know. We talking about practice. Listen, bro. Listen. There is a difference between when you're studying something and when you're practicing something. Do you understand that?
I asked you a simple question. Would you let a doctor?
Listen, bro. You already told me earlier today that you deal with evolution, but then when I asked you what a molecular clock is or geologic time scale, you didn't know what the hell that was.
Now it's one field. It's not multidisciplinary.
So let me ask you this question.
So it's not multidisciplinary. Now you're wriggling.
Listen, why should I continue on even talking to you, bro? You foolish, man. For reals.
And this is what happens when these brothers. That's why when they put out man, and they led astray, man. He don't even know the subject. You see what I'm saying? But he's taking these guys' word for it, and then talking about professionals and can you do this? But you can't go to none of these guys to get your leg fixed.
I wouldn't never. That's
okay, then what makes them professionals then?
Who said there was professionals in getting your leg fixed? Now what kind of stupidness is that? This is crazy talk, bro. Who said there was professionals in getting your leg fixed?
Did he just not use an example, Laurent?
Yeah, but I didn't use them as the example, did I?
I've been through this dude is silly right here. This one silly dude right here, man. Like I don't even know why.
Now what it is, yeah, when man don't fall into your Bible comprehension, yeah, you man have you call man names and shit. You man are crazy, yo.
Out, but this is one stupid nigga right here, man. I promise you, I ain't even playing, man.
And that's the problem, that we got stupid niggas being held up, and they know they stupid, right? That's why they won't really have a real conversation with anyone who can challenge their bullshit, because ignorant people think they're smart. But when you talk to smart people, they run because they know they can't.
When you have to call man names and thing, that just proves like you have issues. You have battles. That's all, man. What are you dealing with?
It was, man. You didn't sit on here. You didn't try to play on people's intelligence, man. But for reals, man, you ignorant as hell, man. You annoying to be for reals, man.
I gotta get back to work though, bro. I'll holler at y'all, man. Good deal.
Right, man. What time you get off, man?
10 o'clock, man.
All right, I'll holler at you. Yeah, but for the most part, man, I'm not finna sit on here and be messing with this dude myself, man. This dude foolish, man. He try to talk to you. Like I say, you got some foolish ways. You got a battery in your back just as well. So I'm not finna be playing games with these guys, man. They some clowns. You know, you see one of the Scheme Osiris brother coming in here jumping around and coming in here playing games. You know, childish, man. These brothers, man, they worried about the shine and playing games. I'm not really with the foolishness, man, at all. So we see what's going on, you know. But for the most part, man, like that's it, man. Like, you know, I'm glad for those that came on the panel, but I ain't tolerating no foolishness. I try to deal with the brothers, you know, try to have a sit down with these guys. Like I say, these guys is on the forefront. Teaching the people madness, and the sheep is going with it because they dumb. You know what I'm saying? You know, for the most part. But when you start to study these things and start to get into their pockets and get into their mind and pick their brain, they want to get mad and get to screaming out, and then the Neanderthal get to coming up out of them. So that's what it is, man. So for the most part, man, y'all already see, man. You got brothers that's from Scheme Osiris calling in here, man, and talking crazy, man. Calling me all types of names and pulling people's resumes and records and carrying on, man. This has to stop, man. This is nonsense, man. So with that being said, I'm just saying peace to everybody out there, man. We out.